a chair, my friend, the kitchen table's on. Kenny's pouring stories like a long, slow midnight song.
All right, we are recording. Do you see the time? The time clock? All right, cool. Very good. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the kitchen table. You guys know me. I'm Kenny D. Been doing this a while now. I'm having a blast. The channel is growing. I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate everybody subscribing to the channel, commenting, sharing it, watching it, telling your friends, being interested, hitting me up on all the social media platforms. Really appreciate it. Having a blast. And it keeps bringing me great guests like I have today. I'm really pumped to talk about this guy, this engine guy. Finally, an engine guy through and through. All you truck guys, no offense, but I got my guy, my engine guy on today. So check it out. From 1978 to 1987, he was in the Newington, Connecticut Volunteer Fire Department. 1987 to 1990, he was on the New Britain Professional Fire Department. In 1990, he got on the FDNY and got assigned to Engine 47. 1992, transferred up to Engine 69, probably the best battalion on the job, you know. Then in 2003, gets promoted to lieutenant and gets assigned to 88 Engine. And he retires out of 88 Engine, but now he's still a Montgomery Volunteer Fire Department. He worked on the committee that ran the Madison Square Garden 9/11 memorial services. I'm pumped to hear about that. Was on the group that totally rewrote Engine Ops Manual for the FDNY. Was in the Engine Tactical Training Group, and he's been teaching Fire Matics across this country from 1996 to present for many fire departments and fire conventions throughout the country. Lots of stuff to talk about. Welcome to the kitchen table, Timmy KLETT.
Well, hello, Kenny. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I don't know what to say. I mean, with the way you just lied, you should be in Congress.
Hey, you sent it to me, so
I know, a little self-promotion.
Oh, Tim, awesome to have you on. Jay Walsh, the great Jay Walsh, gave me a number a while back, and I was at a point in my podcasting career where I was kind of in a lull. I didn't know if I was going to keep going, so I didn't call you then, but I'm glad I called you now. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Glad you called me too.
Awesome. Let's get to it. Where you from originally there, Mr. KLETT?
Oh, I grew up in a place, the same town as your best buddy, Jay, in Newington, Connecticut. I grew up into a police family, actually. You know, my father was a cop. Right now, my father was a cop. My brother was a chief. My uncle was a chief. My cousin's a chief. Both my sisters married cops. My mother's brother ran the Bob division for the FBI. I mean, there's a lot of cops in the family. So I made
those chiefs are all chief cops. They're cops.
Yeah, chief of police. Yeah, all chief of police.
Holy
shit.
My
brother was in Berlin. My nephew's in Rocky Hill. My uncle was in Newington. My father was a sergeant in Newington. Yeah.
So you're the black sheep of the family then?
I'm the one who made the right choice. I tell everybody, it's funny. I tell everybody Thanksgiving's really fun in my house because I'll count all the cops. I'll go, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I go 1. I go, okay, that's fair. Let's go all the time.
Now that's quite the opposite of the Walsh's family. They're all firemen.
Yes.
I don't think there's one cop in that family. Or
there might be.
There might be.
Yeah, my father was a volunteer. My 4 uncles were volunteers.
Yeah.
One of my cousins went to New Britain Fire also. Mm-hmm. So there was some, but not the lineage that Jay has.
Right, right.
I think he's related to Ben Franklin.
You know, we got a picture of him somewhere that I got to put up. But you got into the volunteers with the Walshes, or you got into because of your family, your father?
No, so Jay lived right around a corner from me. Jay and Paul did, and then they moved away, and I was disconnected from them. But I mean, I knew the minute I popped out of my mother that I was going to be a fireman.
Yeah,
I knew. There was nothing I ever thought about. And then in middle school, I reconnected with Jay and Paul, and I credit Jay all the time would get me interested in going to New York. I mean, I just wanted to be a fireman, and we started talking about taking paid tests together. And we took all the Connecticut tests. We took Massachusetts tests. And he was like, we should test in New York. And we both took the 82 test.
Mm-hmm.
And we were young teenagers. We were stupid. We didn't train for it. We thought if you just pass the test, you get hired. So when the 87 test came, we studied harder, trained harder. Right. And that's the test we got on. But Jay's the one who got me in the fire department. Okay. I joined, me and Paul were the original group of what they called fire cadets before we got our training ahead of time. And then right when we turned 18, we could be full interior firefighters. Yeah, that's Paul on the far left.
Uh-huh.
That's me in the middle.
Okay.
A guy named Norman Jackson from Bloomfield. And that was at the Hartford Training Academy. And this is how things have changed. There was a guy named Frank Beebe that used to burn up there, and they were burning diesel in the basement, a diesel pit in the basement. But you had to go down without a mask on. If you look at my hands and my face, were all black.
Yeah.
You had to go down into a diesel fire in the basement with no mask. But that's shit.
That must have tasted good.
Yeah, it was fun. Not like a belly full of smoke.
Was that the volleys or
That was the volleys.
That was the volleys.
That's probably so that's going to be probably 1981, 82
Okay.
maybe.
All right.
That's how long ago that is?
So you did the volleys for 10 years or 9 years or so, and then you get into New Britain. Now, did you have to leave the volleys to get on New Britain or?
Yeah, I did. I actually had to sign an affidavit. We all did because back then the unions didn't want union membership being volunteers. And I understood some of it and I didn't understand other parts of it. Yeah. So we had to sign a waiver that said and they couldn't tell you not to be a volunteer, but you couldn't work in any capacity for another municipality while under the employment of the city of New Britain. So I kind of got myself in trouble with that. Well, I got hired in Hartford. All right. I was in New Britain for about 2 years. Okay. Hartford called me and they wanted to know if I was still interested in the job. It's a bigger job, more fires. It wasn't that I didn't like New Britain. It was just I was chasing fires. I was young. I was chasing fires. Yeah. So we worked a 3 day on, 3 day off, 3 night on, 3 day off schedule. So I was getting off my nights, and I said, you know what? Let me go to their academy. If I like it, I'll stay. If I don't, I'll just go back to work. I'm on my days off. So I went to Hartford and worked for 2 days.
Did you really?
Yeah. And then I was 2 days in the academy, and I would have missed my agility for New York City. I would have been their academy, and I wasn't willing to do that.
Okay.
I went back to New Britain, and my first day back, some captain walks in, and he says, "What are you, an effing asshole?" I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You don't think that chiefs don't talk?" And I was stupid. Like, it's the next city over.
Yeah, yeah.
He goes, "What'd you do the last 2 days?" I'm like, "Oh, no, they know." And he goes, "If I were you, I'd go talk to the assistant chief." So I go to my lieutenant, and I say, "Can I talk to the assistant chief?" And he says, "Yeah." I knock on the door. And he goes, "Oh, Timmy, you were on my list of things to do today." And right on the desk is the affidavit I signed.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay.
And I looked right at him. I said, "Am I getting fired?" He goes, "Oh, I could fire you." And then he did say this. He goes, "But I'm not, I can't." He says, "I'm not in a position of firing. I don't have enough good people that is I can't fire a good, something like that."
Yeah. Yeah. You were too important to the job. You knew you had a little more experience, and you were good fireman, and he didn't want to just let you go because of a decision like that. Yeah. So
we sat down and talked, and to this day, I tell everybody the story. I kept my promise with him. I laid it all out. I said, "I'm testing for New York." He said, "I didn't know that." I go, "So, I'm taking my agility next week." I said, "If I get a letter," I said, "you will be the first one to know." And before I told my father, and I went and told that assistant chief. I walked in his office. I said, "You're the first to know. What should I do?"
That's cool.
And then it's funny because
what should I? We said, what do you mean? What should you do? You should take that fucking job.
Well, but he does this. He takes out another piece of paper out of his desk, and they were forming a rescue company, and he had me going to the rescue. Along with Jay was going to the rescue. Paul was going to the rescue,
dangling a little fucking carrot in front of you.
And I was chasing fires. And a month after left, they had a fire that killed 10 people in New Britain. And then they had Jay talked about it, that wave of arsons that they had. But I did way better. I mean, and New Britain was a great place. I had a lot of fun. I went to my fires, but I made the right choice.
Yeah. Now the volunteers, they must have lost a lot of guys because everybody on the volunteers, for the most part, young guys want to get on a paid department. The volleys must have lost a lot of guys. That had to change somehow.
You'd be surprised that it wasn't that much back then.
Really?
The volunteers back then were really in a transitional period because now they can't get anybody.
Yeah, they're having a tough
time. There was a waiting list. And
wow.
Yeah, and Jay really was the one who broke the ice in Newington, at least, because he was 18 years old. He was the first 18-year-old they took, and then I went, and they weren't going to let me in because Jay was a little squared away, and I was off my rocker. I was a maniac. You could ask. I was a maniac back then. You know how I met my wife? She lived 2 doors down the street from the firehouse, and she actually walked down the firehouse to see Jay's brother and and the firehouse was on a hill like this, the street was, and I'm painting "Eat Me" on the bottom of a 55-gallon drum, and I'm rolling it down the street in front of the firehouse. And that's how we met. I love at first sight. She got a real winner.
It's a good thing you didn't roll her over with the barrel.
Yeah, well, a couple of times I might have, but yeah.
That's great.
But a guy stepped up, and my father was pretty well known in town, and my family was. They're pretty connected. My aunt was the mayor. My mother was the head of the board of education. You know, my uncle was the chief.
Oh, so you got out of a lot of trouble, you know.
Oh no, I did, but I'd
Growing
rather.
up.
Oh yeah, I would have rather got the tickets than go home and face the beatings. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
So-
Like, oh, there's the old KLETT kid. Let him go.
Well, you know, I've never told this story, and it's kind of funny because, you know, I was a volunteer at the time, and I was dating my wife.
Yeah.
And I had the scanner in the car because I was a volunteer. And so I found this place to go park it. It was great. It was an old warehouse, and I parked down the loading docks between two tractor trailer boxes, you know. So I'm sitting there, and I'm putting the schmooze on, you know, because that's how I am. And I see a car go, psh, it's a police car. And I'm like, wow.
You're a real romantic.
So wait, it gets even better. Then the police car goes the other way real slow, keeps going. I'm like, oh, they didn't see us. So I said, hey, baby. And then on the radio, because I had the police frequency,
Yeah.
my father goes, I see you.
She was probably like, oh, put on, you know, some good music, and you turn the scanner up.
Yeah, put a little Dean Martin up for it, you know.
Yeah. What was that a job? Is the fire coming in?
Yeah. Oh, I know guys have done that. I've never done that.
All right. So you were you there for those arson fires that Jay?
No, I left.
You
So
were
when
gone
Jay
already.
did his thing, he was a little off. They were like 91. The summer of 91 is when they were, because I was already gone. You know, he would call me, go, how many fires did you have last night? And I said, well, I had 3. How many do you have? He goes, I had 4. Fuck you. He goes, no. But that wasn't having any occurrence there, you know.
Yeah.
47 when I went there was still, that whole Harlem was still vacant buildings. I mean, we did a shitload of vacant building fires.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot. And it seemed like every morning at 8 o'clock, there was a fire in Lexington Avenue, a vacant building.
8
Every
o'clock,
morning.
like fucking
Like
every
clock,
morning.
every morning. And that 91 engine over there, they were going like gangbusters because they had started to renovate that area. That renovation of Harlem worked from like 110th Street and ran north. And I mean, I had one night they had 3 vacants burning on 3 different corners.
Jeez.
At 118th Street and then Manhattan Avenue. So you must know the block.
Yeah,
59
sure.
goes there.
Yeah. We go there.
It's all renovated now. Yep.
Oh, well, yeah. Up there now, it's even when I got there in 05. I got on the job in 03 and I got there in 05. All the brownstones across the street from the firehouse, except for one, was still vacant. One was done, one they were working on, and the rest was still, you could see.
I talked about buying those.
They tell us all the time. They're like, oh, we talked about buying them. You know, they weren't.
Yep.
And look what happened now. Everything is renovated now. I don't think there's, I mean, I'm retired 4 years. I haven't been around the neighborhood that much anymore. I don't think there's any vacants left.
Not like there was.
Not many in the city at all, even in the
Not like
Bronx.
there was. No, there's no more. And that was our training grounds up there. You know, like when I went to 47 engine, there were, and the difference between like then and now isn't the quality of the guys. It isn't, because everybody gets on that job. It was the quality of the officers because they were all hardened warriors guys. Yeah. You know, I had a guy, Cuckoo Charlie Corcoran. He was in 59 truck when it was in the Tin House on Prospect Avenue in the Bronx. Yeah. And that's when they were. It was, and I had Jimmy O'Brien, who was in 42 engine during that, and then Jimmy Walsh, not Jimmy Walsh, Jimmy Brown, who Bob Morris said he was the toughest guy in the fire department, and his son ended up being Brian Brown in Rescue 3. That was his son, but Jimmy was. You know, I said I was telling Morris a story about him, about a fire he had, and 58 engine refused to help us because we beat them out of their box. And he said, and you know, Jimmy Brown didn't beat the shit out of the officer. I go, he was mad, but I don't think he beat him up.
Oh man!
But those guys were nothing rattled. Those guys,
yeah.
You know what I mean. And it was really great. I loved that place. And again, the only reason I left 47, I was chasing fires. Yeah. That was it. Yeah. You know, we had a lot of fun. Bobby Cook was up there. Kim G. Calabrese was up there. Yeah. Paul Greco, the guy whose son played with the Rangers. He went to the squad.
I was going to say that name sounds really familiar.
Yeah, his son was the
Greco.
kid that played with the Rangers a little bit. He died of a 9/11 cancer. He was in 47 when I got there. Sorrentino, Salalia, they're all good guys, but
So
they're all Italian guys.
You get on the yeah, those Italians. So you got on in 1990 in the FDNY, you got from New Britain, and you got assigned to 47 engine out of Probie school. Okay, and 2 years in 47.
2 years in 47, and then I hung in skin up to 69.
69. Do you remember your first fire in 47 engine? First nozzle job?
Well, it wasn't my first fire. I was in the fire. I was 10 minutes, and it was a fourth
In
alarm.
47.
We walked in the door. 10 minutes later, I was at a fourth alarm.
Oh, okay. You know what? I you wrote this down there. First run in the FDNY.
First run, I had the ticket still. Yeah, the first run in the FDNY. We were like third on the second or first on the third. So I don't even remember. I got to go look at the ticket.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was on. And you know where it was? 1, 4, 5, and 7th. You know the big H right there, right off the corner?
Yeah.
On 145 Street?
Yeah.
That was the fourth alarm on Christmas night.
Ooh, Christmas night.
Christmas night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I went to 69 and I had about 6 more fires in that building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I bet when you went to 69, I mean, you were still doing work in 47, but when you got to 69, probably even like doubled from there.
To be honest with you, like everybody said, why do you want to go to 69 and do vacant building fires? I went to in the year and 8 months I was in 47, as opposed to almost 10 years I was in 69. I did way more vacants in the year and a half in 47.
In 47. Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yep. There was just way more first due work. Everything 69 did was first due.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where, 47, everything they did was second and third due.
Mm-hmm.
It was really second due. And that's when 1014, when they first started combining engines after that 87 or 88 contract, when they went to the roster staffing, that's when that whole thing started. Mm-hmm. And at second due, you did nothing. And all their boxes were second due.
Wow.
And anything good, it was hard to beat 58 in because we'd have to come down the hill.
Yeah.
On 110th Street. But they still caught a lot of good fires.
Nice. Now, who was your hook? Did you have a hook to get up to 69 or you know, how'd that work?
Well, so there was a guy in 47, Tommy Stringer. And we became friends. I mean, it's hard not to go to a firehouse and not make friends with guys. And so I became real friendly with Tommy Stringer, and he had his paper to go to 69. And my hook called me like 9 months into being into 47. He says, all right, because I have an order of me going to 69 out of Probie school.
Really?
It got changed at the last minute.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, Jimmy Skarkas ended up going there, and they weren't going to put 2 Robies in that house at the same time back then. So my guy called me. He said, how about a good engine in the 5th? Because the 5th division still existed.
Yeah.
And he said, I said, whatever you think. And he put me in 47, which was good. But I became friends with Tommy. He called me and said, I can get you up there on a skin. And the order was coming out in 3 months. And I just didn't want to step on the guy's toes.
Right.
So I stayed there till he went. And then I went on the
Okay. Yeah. Now, when you got up there, how were you received?
I don't know.
I
know. Like a pile of shit in the sidewalk. I don't know.
Yeah, because
it was a tough place. It wasn't, it wasn't 47. I'll tell you what, my first night there, we went to 5 fires.
5 fires.
In my first night there. And I was glad because it kept me out of the firehouse. And there was a guy there who I became very good friends with later on. And I remember the first we were going to a third alarm down by 58 Engine. And he's hanging on the side of the rig trying to punch me, saying, who sent you? Who dared to send you here? He's trying to punch me through the rig. And I'm like, what the frick did I do? And he was my nemesis for a long time, a couple of years. And I had always kept my mouth shut and done the right thing. And one night we were up on a bridge. Well, every night we're on a bridge, but this is just one of those other nights. And he's got a couple and he's starting to mess with me. And I had it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, at some point, you're still a man. Mm-hmm. And I jumped up and I put him against the wall, and he was way bigger than me. I mean, he would have put me in the morgue. There's no question about it. So Anzalone was up there, Larry Flame was up there, and they grabbed me and they're like, "What are you?" And Anzalone's like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's gonna and I guess he realized that I had my limit because it wasn't like I was a douche. If I was a douche, I would have expected it.
Yeah,
but I made my laps. I did, what you're supposed to do. But he turned out to be a great guy. I mean, he really did after that.
But
Yeah, I wasn't received too great. And I think it was because I went up there with a guy named Frank Moriarty on an onion scale in the rope unit at the end.
Yeah.
Well, me and Frank went on, we got there almost the same day on an onion. And there was a kid that got there like 6 months before us that was on an onion that they hated. I mean, they hated. And I could see why. And it just didn't like him. So all of a sudden, 2 more onions come in. And we're going to be scumbags too. You know?
Yeah. They just assumed that.
Yeah. You know, I almost, to be honest with you, it was so bad. I almost went back. I almost said, fuck this. I'll go back to 47 engine. You know, and I called my hook. And again, I've never told anybody this. I called my hook and I'm like, you know what? Fuck this place. I don't need this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at that point, I'm almost 30 years old. I'm not a probie anymore. I've had some fires. I'm doing the right thing. And he goes, just see it through. And I did. I hunkered down and, you know, it was great. It was always great. It was just like, I don't, you know, but it was
similar experiences with me going to 59.
59 was a tough place.
59 is a tough place. 16, that whole battalion, you know, from some of the older guys that I've spoken to were like, oh, the 16th was a tough, you know, battalion. I just spoke to a guy from 34 truck who worked in that around that time. And he was like, 34 was the love, and 16th battalion was tough.
There was a lot of hate.
I got to 59 and it was like, who are you? And kept my mouth shut, tried to make my bones, you know.
They asked me when 59 opened about, you know, what do you think?
Yeah.
And I said, well, listen, I've been out of there for a few years, but if it's the same way as when I was up there, I said, and I told him right up, I said, I don't know if it's your cup of tea, bro. I said, I don't know if it's your cup of tea up there. It's a big time boss fight in the house.
Tough place, man.
It was a tough place. I mean, not for details. I loved it. I love going to 59.
Oh, details were great. We're treated like gold.
Yeah.
And it was like you said, I just prayed for the first 2 years or so, year and a half, 2 years. I just prayed to be busy. So we'd be out of the firehouse. And I knew they wouldn't have a real chance to really break my balls. But on those slow nights, oh, forget it, man. I was like, but I said, you know what? I ain't fucking going anywhere. I'm digging my heels in, man.
That's the same way what I did. You know what? I wanted to come here. I ain't going anywhere. And then after that, I got involved. I ran there, you know, me and Jimmy Carney ran their centennial and dinner dances, the picnics. I ran a baseball trip every summer to Yankee Stadium where I'd get more people than the company picnic. I had 150. I had the whole right field.
Wow.
Tickets. Yeah, that was a good trip. I used to run that. The kids loved it.
That's awesome.
We started as a Father's Sunday. And the guy come up, he goes, I got 2 daughters. I go, okay, we'll make it family day.
Do you have a scanner on you, Buff?
Right now, no, it's my phone.
Oh.
I'm getting texted.
I thought you were like, oh, there's a job coming in somewhere.
No. Well, you'd see like the dots go up and I'd be out, you know.
I keep hearing it go off and I'm like,
that was my
like
phone.
A scanner or something?
So I got a great 30 truck story.
Yeah, do it. Let's
Kenny
hear it.
O'Brien was the boss. Remember Kenny O'Brien?
Yeah.
So at Steve Elliott was what he had the irons. I get detailed up there and I am the can. And, you know, like Kenny didn't like engine guys in the truck. He just didn't. So, you know, and like I'm like, you know, what do you say to a guy who came out of 58 truck during the war years? And I'm like, I'll be there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we go to a fucking job and 69 20 are first due. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Right at the corner, like seventh and 143, right at the corner. So we just shot down the block. But so we're parked in front of the building. We're parked out on 7th Avenue. We're all sitting on the rig. And John Newell is the boss, who I love. John Newell is my guy. We'll talk about it. He's my
great dude, man. Great dude.
And I worked with a lot of great guys, a lot of legends, but he's the guy. No, hands down, without questioning. But he was the boss in 69. I forget who was in 28. So he gets on the radio and says, listen, he goes, I don't know. We don't know where it is, but we definitely have a fire building. We got a job. So off the rig we get, and everybody's heading upstairs. So I'm the last one in line heading up behind Steve Elliott, Kenny O'Brien. And I just look back before we turn on the half landing, and I see smoke puff around the door frame on the first floor. Ooh. So I go, Lou, I got it. He goes, oh, no, the House of Love. You got what? I'm like, herpes, what do you think I got, bro? So I said, I think I got the fire right here. So we go back downstairs, pop the door. Sure enough, we got the fire. Now we're first. So the layout was weird. So the door swung in like this, and then there was a long hallway on this side. And along that hallway there was a couple of bikes and a window gate. So I got the can, and Kenny's trying to get in, and then Steve Elliott's right behind him. So they must turn their back to the swing of the door, and they're just handing stuff out to me. So I'm throwing it in the lobby, and the two of them take off. I get the window frame gets stuck, so I'm behind him a little bit, and I get out the hallway, and I turn and I go in, and the first room in the apartment just starting to come out in the public hallway into the hallway to the apartment.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I get in there, and the room's rolling around. So you're the can. What are you going to do?
Hit it with the can. Fucking,
So I
that's
plop
what an engine
myself-
guy does.
There's no door. I can't pull in the door shut, so there's no door. So I plop myself there, and I'm just because the 69 ain't there yet.
The
So
line wasn't
I'm
up
just
there yet.
holding it back, and now O'Brien starts yelling for the can. I found the fire.
Oh, he's yelling for it down the hallway, and
Yeah.
you got fire in the front room.
Yes, two fires in the apartment.
Wow.
So what do you do?
I
gotta wait for
fire in the.
I got
like the whole. Don't pass fire. You don't want to pass fire.
So we laugh about it now. Me and the Steve Elliott laugh about it all the time. So 69 comes up, and I go, and Mike Hayes had the nozzle, and I go, Mike, are you good? He says, yeah. I go, he's screaming for the can. I get down there, and it's just a mattress burning. He lays into me. He's like, where the fuck were you? And he looks at Steve. He goes, I fucking knew it. I knew it.
Oh, man.
And I'm going, Lou, there's another fire down there. He goes, there's what? I said, the front room was on fire. I mean, and he runs down the hallway, and he sees 69 just now darkening down the room. He comes back, and he hugs me. He goes, I'm sorry. It was hysterical. But when he started going, where the fuck were you? I'm like,
You're like, what do I do here? There's a fire here.
That what he do? House of Love, though. That
man.
place, the veranda, the old veranda out and back, and
Yeah.
the one tenement on that was on 7th Avenue there. There was always a stroll going on. I heard that continued up there. Oh, Colin sent me pictures of some. Yeah, that's right.
What did he send you pictures of?
The tenement, that was on 7th Avenue that backed to your parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Every now and again, you get some stuff. Oh, awesome! Like who? Now you're in 69. You get to 69 in 1992.
92, right at the end of 92, just before the 93 bombing, because I was in 69 for the 93 bombing of the Trade Center.
Okay.
So it was the end of 92 when I got up there.
End of 92. So you don't know Charlie Williams, do you?
Charlie Williams was gone.
Yeah, he was gone. He ended up Chief Battalion 9, the 9th Battalion Chief. Yeah. But he had worked in 69 and 28. He worked in squad. He was a truck boss in 30 truck. So he's tied to that.
He was gone.
Yeah.
McPartland was gone already. All the McPartland. There was a bunch of McPartlands.
Yeah.
There was Big Brian. He was gone. Mike was gone. And then the Finnegans, there was a couple of Finnegans. They were both gone.
Finnegan,
but Farraco was still there. John Farraco was there. The bosses were in 28 was when I first got there who was the captain? Oh, Captain Finan was there.
Okay.
Leahy, Armstrong, and Patty Brown.
Patty Brown was still there.
In 28.
Yeah.
And 69 was John Newell, Mom's Killian. Who else was the other one? It was Killian, Newell. The captain was, when I first got there, was Pat Welby, but only for a short period of time. Morris was the captain. Who was the other officer that was up there? Oh, Joe Flanagan.
Okay.
Joe Flanagan. Yes, he died of prostate cancer a couple years later.
Oh, man.
Flanagan was up there.
Awful. Yeah, Newell was the chief he became a chief at some point when I got up there. I got up there in 05. So I got on a job 03, went to Brooklyn for a year, and then got up to right off probation.
Joe Flanagan, I think his kid's on a job now somewhere, or maybe he's a cop at Port Authority. But he was working my first night in the firehouse there, and he had to leave early. So Newell comes in and relieves him in the morning. Now, we'd already been there 4 fires, and we hadn't gone to bed yet. And they had just exchanged, and we get a 58 engine box, because you guys are still either a 59 engine box. Because you guys are either still at one of the fires or taking time. It was like right at the corner of like 138 and 7th.
Yeah.
That top floor. So, we're sitting in the rig, we're all beat up, and Anzalone was working, Hayes was working, myself, and Newell. He gets off the rig, and first due, he always had that bottle with him, the rope. First due. Every time he got up,
even first two, he took it.
Even first two, he had that. That's
Yeah.
why, like, he is like that guy was always ready, man. He taught me so much, not only about the job, myself, my limitations, how much more I could get out of a tank. You know, he was, and I worked with Morris, and I worked with Patty Brown. You know, Vinny Leahy was as good as they come. He gets no recognition, but Vinny Leahy was as tough and as good as they come. I had a white ghost with Vinny Leahy.
You had a
white ghost.
I don't know if I've ever.
They used to write about it in our books, but they took it back. They took it out for some reason. It's when the oil burner doesn't ignite and it's turning all the oil into vapor and it turns it white, and the basement fills with this raw fuel that's been vaporized already. So we get into this basement and it's halfway full of this white ghost. So Vinny walks up because the oil burner is still spitting this stuff out. It's just too rich to ignite. So Vinny, we don't know what caused it. Either the covering officer turned down the fuel to the tank, allowed it to ignite, or Vinny there was no remote shutoff. So he took his hand and he knocked the wire off and it arced, and the entire basement flashed over.
Holy shit.
All that unburned fuel lit up. And I had the can, and I look in the room and I see a ball of fire come out of the oil burner. And all I see from here up with Vinny Leahy is fire. So,
shit.
You know, Skarkus had the irons. All you hear is the tools hitting the ground, the can. I get up and I run in to the oil burner room expecting to have to put Leahy out.
Yeah.
And he's standing there going like this, and the side of his face is all singed. And he looks at me. I'm like ready to, he goes, that was close.
Holy Jesus, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow.
But those two, like, they were great. They were great officers. Even in 47, those officers were the best. I mean, I never left a place because I didn't like the guys or didn't like the officers. I was just chasing fires.
Chasing fire.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Young
my
man at 47.
I was good looking. What happened to my hair?
You've never shaved? Have you ever shaved your mustache? Or you left it the whole time?
Never in my life.
Never in your life.
Never in my
13 years old, you had a mustache.
Yep. I had hair here. No.
I love it. That's great. So give me now I think I saw somewhere on another show that you were on. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Mickey Farrell's, but you were you were trying to prove yourself. I think that you were in 69 Engine and you put out like fucking 6 rooms of fire.
So it's funny.
Yeah.
We had a job and 59 was there. Yeah. And I remember, I have this stupid memory about fires. I don't know why. I can't remember people's names, but I know who you guys working, when it was. Yeah. And, like I had a job on 141st Street the night before where I was on, so I come in the following night on a roster tour and Mike Laporta gives me the nozzle. I'm on a roster. I had a job the night before. So he goes, Timmy, you can take the nozzle, I'll back you up. Julie Seagot, who was his kids were in 37 and 40. Seagot, he was the senior guy in 69 at the time. He had the control that night. Jimmy Carney was driving. So we're eating. And I still remember we were eating that night. So it was super farming. And we pull out of quarters and we turn. It's out 2 windows. I mean, blowing out 2 windows of the top floor of this corner building, right? And it was blown out on 7th Avenue side, 7th and 141.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had fire in every one of those apartments on the top floor at a different time.
I mean, you've mentioned 7th Avenue a bunch of times already. Like a lot of fires on 7th Avenue.
Yeah. There was a lot of fires up there then. There really, really were.
Yeah.
Newell says if he had to pick one time on his career where it was the busiest, he said it was his time in 69.
His time in 69. Yeah.
So we pull up and Carney turns into 141, gets the hydrant. I get up on the back step and Morris is in the truck and Patty Brown's in the engine. I mean, how? So and they both go into the wrong building on 7th Avenue address. It's the street address.
Ooh.
So I'm on the back step and I tell Mike, I said, Mike, they're going in the wrong building. It's the street address. He goes, you got to follow the boss.
Yo, man, you're like, oh.
So I get up to the 2nd floor. I got my folds and I hear Morris yell down the stairs. We're in the wrong fucking building. So you're going to laugh. Ready? I turn and I look down and 59 Engine drops their folds and takes off for the back of 69. So no lie, Mike Laporta goes, run, Timmy, run. So if I got hooked on something, I would have broke my goddamn neck. Yeah. Running down, and now I look up, and now it's out 8 windows on the top floor.
Holy Jesus.
It's got the whole flat going. It was a corner building, so it wasn't big. It looked really impressive, but it wasn't. You know, it was like 5 rooms.
Right,
you
but
know
like
what I
the
mean?
corner building is one apartment, but it looks like it's.
It looks like So I get in, we get to the top floor, and now Morris and Patty Brown are fighting because Morris doesn't want to come out of the apartment, and the only thing is like the bathroom right inside the door that's not on fire, and Morris is trying to duck it, and Patty's room just get out, mounts out in the public hallway. So we get in, and I start knocking it down. There's a room off at the end before it turned this way. I got that front room. It was a kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, and then it turned this way. And so I got the 3 rooms this way, and then I had 3 more this way. And I got burned at the end. I burned my legs the first night wearing bunker gear. First night wearing. So I made the turn, and I put out the big room, and I'm making the turn to come back to get the last bedroom, and I run out of gas. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I got 5 rooms. There's a half room left, and I give it to Mike Laporte. And Mike finishes it off. And then they take me out of the building, burn, and blah, blah, blah. And when they critique the fire on the top floor, and I'm thinking, wow, they're going to sing songs about me, you know? They're gonna, that was one thing back then.
They're tell stories and sing songs about
It'll be a Christmas nightcast, you know?
He started out in 47 Engine.
Slowly he turned. And then he gave up the nozzle. So
when you gas though, when you give it everything and you're burned and you're gassed, it's just, you know,
I was
bodily
like,
functions start
I
fucking.
didn't think
You don't have
anything
them.
wrong with it, and you know, and there was accountability back then. 59 was big on that. I mean, they would hold their guys accountable for what they did, as 6928 did.
Yeah.
And you know, they're upstairs and they're going around a table, and I think I'm waiting for a bus, and you know, what you do? How'd you get to the roof? What'd you do when you got there? And I'm like, when they get to me, they're gonna put me on their shoulders. They're gonna run to the room.
Oh
They
man.
fucking laid into me. It's your fire. You put that thing out. If you can't, go somewhere else. I mean, I'm like, did you see what I did? And they lay into me. Yeah, you were held accountable, which I thought was a very good thing.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't, you know, after that, you didn't give a shit about you. You didn't want to let them down.
Yeah.
You know, I had a fire up in Wrangle houses, and Morris was the boss in the engine still, and a guy named Panero had the nozzle. And we had a truck detail that was out of control for some reason. And it just got all effed up. And the fire just wouldn't go out. And it took for a long, long time. I mean, a real long time to put a project fire out. We were black when we came out of there. And we got back, and Cassidy was still there. And he took us in the kitchen, and he reamed us out. And I was brand new. And I'm thinking, everybody thinks it's me.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
And I had the backup. So but everybody thinks it's me. Everybody thinks it's me. But you felt, when the chief was scolding you, you felt like you let your father down, man. It sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucked a lot when the chief's laying in, you going over, you know, we allow a lot up here in the 16th Battalion. We turn our heads to a lot of stuff. All we expect is you put our fires out. And you felt bad. So, you know, guys can say what they want because you just didn't want to let each other. You didn't want to make the company look bad. You didn't want to make the chiefs up there look bad. And that's why, and I still say it, and I don't care. I'll defend it to the end of the day. The Harlem engines were the best engines in the universe. There were none better.
Yeah.
And I mean that. I've watched 59 kick some ass. I mean, you know, I've watched 37. You know, I've watched a lot of those companies back then. Those engines, there were none better.
Nice.
They weren't anywhere.
Nice. That was the biggest thing, me getting on the job and up there, especially because you are held accountable. And, you know, being a new guy, I didn't want to let anybody down.
Yep.
And anytime something happened and I was working with a fire or whatever or anything, I'm like, this is my fault. Even if it's like a truck guy, even if a truck guy did something, whatever, I was like, it was my fault. It's my fault.
Well, the truck guys would be hiding behind a tree, hoping nobody saw them. Engine guys walk up and go, "It's my fault. I'm a man. You know, don't talk to the guy behind a tree."
And that's a tip. If something does happen and you think it's your fault, step right the fuck up for new guys and admit it right away. I fucked up. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I don't know. Like being a new guy, maybe you didn't fuck up, but you just did something, and just admit what you did. And
admit what you did. The
admit
movie.
What you did.
Admit what you did.
But seriously,
yes.
Hold yourself accountable. Don't let your brothers down, and admit your fuck ups. And guys will work with that, man.
So you know what I liked about the engine a lot is you didn't get challenged every night. You know what I mean? Because if you were second, third due, you weren't getting a piece, especially up there. That's why I say, like, people now, third due engines, they're getting a piece of the fire now. Back then, there's no chance. And they didn't even give up the line to wash down the room. You weren't doing a thing. But I always looked at it like this, like, even though the trucks are getting challenged more, and I'm not saying there's no accountability, but like if the OV doesn't make his position, or really nobody knows.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if the engine doesn't put out the fire, everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
And that was the challenge that I liked. Hey, I wasn't getting tested every day, and that transferred into my motto about wherever I worked and whatever I did is, like, I would tell the probies when they got there, and when I became an officer, is that you don't exist anymore, bro. Your name, you don't have a name anymore here. You're 88 Engine. You fuck up 88 Engine, you fucked up. You represent this company. You're not an individual anymore. You're part of a company. And if you can't do that, there's a lot of places that don't operate that way.
Yeah.
And those Harlem companies, man. And I'm not saying any companies that I worked in after that 88 was great, but it was just a moment in time that I thought up there that those engines at the time, and I could say without any question of it, they were the best engines in the world.
Yeah, man, awesome.
They really, really were.
Yeah.
What
about this?
Mapes in 181. Funny story about that too.
Nice. I was just looking for some older, if you had any pictures of 69 while you were operating.
I just have the one with the pushing the line in. I got a 47 on my arm, still onion skin.
Still looking.
It's me on a base. It's on a 2.5.
Oh, here it is.
That's the
This
one.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep. So and again, that was the first of 5 fires that night.
The first.
Yeah, that was the first one. We had this building twice.
God.
And this was Christmas Eve.
Nice.
Christmas Eve. And Newell was working. That's Ray Sessa on the nozzle. He was a chief up there. That's Ray Sessa.
That's Sessa?
That's Ray Sessa.
No shit.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. Very cool.
Paul Migro was the guy that took the picture. He had the control, and everybody's yelling at him. We're trying to push a 2.5 into this first floor. We had the first 2 floors that is vacant.
Yeah.
And it was between 154 and 155 on 8th Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So we get there, and it's in all hands. 2 floors of vacant back then. It was just in all hands.
Yeah.
And we go back to quarters, and we're in quarters for maybe an hour. And now we're still out of service. We're having, ribeyes and lobster tail. And the guy must have gone back and lit it again. It wasn't a rekindle. It was way too much fire the second time.
Yeah.
And so the chief goes, we're out of service. And then the houseman comes up, and he says, hey, Kennedy's trapped on the 2nd floor. They're calling for 40 truck to expedite. Same building.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So we just jump back in service, and we get back up there, And now this 3rd and 4th floor of this building, front to rear, it ends up being a 2nd alarm.
Oh.
And then we caught an ERS box. 28 was somewhere else at another fire. And we get an ERS box about 4 a.m, right around the corner at Bradhurst and 142.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the corner there for a store. And we should have got a unit. I don't know why we didn't.
Because you're in the engine, that's why.
That's right. We were doing our job.
Yeah.
People we crawl over that the truck finds and get metal.
Fucking times we got turned down for a unit because, that's what the engine does.
Yeah. You got to learn how to write. I got good at writing them.
Jay wrote them. Tell it to Jay.
Jay's not a writer. So he would call me, and I'd say, it's all how you write it. And so I was, to be honest with you, like anything, once I got promoted, I wrote one in 88 that got denied. So I called the guy. I go, hey, this really deserved it. Why did it get denied? And he goes, well, you got to put certain terminology in it. I said, well, I'm not going to lie. Because I always get pissed off at guys that lie about what they did to get a medal. So I said, I won't lie. Will I make it sound really scary? I can do that. So every one I wrote after that, 5 units, 3 medals.
Yeah. Wow.
That I got for the companies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
5 units and
great.
3 medals.
Nice.
So, and I didn't lie.
Right.
And
No, you wrote what you saw, and
But back in those days, even still when you were up there, probably those chiefs, because you had Newell, you had Sessa, and those guys were raised by Cassidy, Kennedy, Griffin, and Visconti, and their attitude was this: what you just said is like you would have to rescue the Pope, get Jesus Christ off the cross, and then maybe he would consider it. They just what's his name? What was his name? Jimmy Cash made a grab one morning that should have been a Gordon Bennett in my book. Yeah. And the chief wasn't going to go write him up. I mean, this guy, we thought it was a steam leak. And I think we had a couple more fires that night. I mean, I'm not making it up either. I have this stupid memory. So we pull in front of the building, looks like a steam leak. But Cash was a guy that always made his position. And I tell that to guys. I said, what makes you good isn't that you're good once you get there, is that you get there.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And he was a guy, no matter what the run is, if he was the OV, he was on the fire escape. Didn't matter. He always made his position. So he's up the front fire escape. He forces a window, and then black rolls out. So up we go. He gets in, finds a guy unconscious on the couch. But because he opened the window, the couch lights up. Now he can't go back out the window. He's got to make a run for the apartment door.
Ooh.
It's got a police locks on it. 28's having trouble getting the door. We're up there at the line. Mike Hayes got the NOS. They can't get the door. Now he makes it all the way to the door, but the fire's right on his tail.
Yeah.
So he knocks the thing out of the floor. They get the door, and him and the victim roll out on fire. And Hayes puts them out, and then we go put the fire out.
Man, that's some fucking
And I
wild
think he
shit.
got a B. Because they were going to write him up. It's hysterical. But those are those chiefs. Those are those chiefs. You're doing your job.
Yeah. It's tough, but you know, there was so much work and stuff to go around back then. They just couldn't write so many.
There was. That's the Bronx. Yeah, that's
the Bronx. So, all right, so now enough about the 16th Battalion. You know, enough about those guys. Now you get up to 88 Engine. You get promoted, and you get up to 88. How was that?
Good, real good. I mean, you know, I loved being an officer. I really, really did. And I tell everybody this without any equivocation, is that I've lived such a blessed life, not just being a fireman coming from Connecticut and, you know, working for the biggest fire department in the world, the best fire department in the world, and being in two very, very busy companies. Yeah. But I was blessed that I had the two best jobs in the fire service while I was in the New York City, because there's none better. The best job in the fire service is the nozzleman. You can't argue it. The truck guys like to argue it. They're just too stupid to realize they're wrong. All right? It's the truth.
Yes. Fuck you, truck guys. No.
But the second best position, is the engine officer, hands down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're the guy. And you're the first one there. You're making the call. You're making the decisions. What you do, everything else builds off of. So if I don't do this right, and we got to go back and fix this, you know, we're losing this place. So I loved that aspect of the job, that you're the one. And here's the truth of the matter is if I wanted to be in that fire department before the truck, I had my officer's tool. I got very good at forcing doors with that officer tool. Yeah. And I can tell you, you know, they'd get up there, I'd be coming out of the apartment already by myself. Yeah, it's like 3 rooms down. I got it. You know, you can go search for people now, but I know what fire is. Yeah. You know, if I found someone along the way, that would have been fine. But I went in to look for fire. And it's such a great position. It really is. And then once you get past that, then it's every position in the truck. You know, the cook, the cleaner, you know. I tell them all the time, how can it be a firefighting unit when half the positions are outside the fire building?
So somebody told me once, that's great. Somebody told me the engine fights the fire and the truck fights the building. Yeah. Is what I heard.
That's pretty interesting.
I was like, that's pretty, I said, you know, and that makes sense. Like we're actually putting water on the fire and the truck is fucking with the building, open things up, Yeah. So
I always say, you know why they cut holes in the roof, right?
To save my ass, that's for sure.
No. So they can look down and see the real firemen doing their jobs.
So I was always like, the truck, you know, always the rivalry. And then we quit a top floor job and I just got my ass kicked, you know, unmercifully.
In the truck?
No, I was in the engine. I had the nozzle. And we were just, I mean, cinder block walls, vacant top floor. I don't know if the whole building was vacant. It might have been. But it was rocking and it was rocking. And they couldn't find it. So now we're up there and I'm like, all right,
That's why the best truck guys came from engines.
Yeah.
Because they knew what they were doing for guys like you. Mm-hmm. You know, like there was no nonchalant about getting the bulkhead or should I force to do, you know, why am I breaking all this glass? It's not much of a fire. Well, you're not down there. You don't know what beating them guys are, especially on the top floor.
Oh,
you don't know. I love top floor fires.
That was the one. That was the first. I mean, I'd caught a bunch of work before that, but that was the first. That was the one that really had a hard time with. And you hear the saws going, and you're just getting further and further closer to the floor, trying to put the fucking fire out. Yep. And finally, they opened it up, and it was like heaven. I think of it was like the hand of God came down and lifted us all up, because immediately as they took it, everything lifted it, and we just stood up with it, and it was just.
It's from like then on, and you know that's an art that I think is lost.
Yeah.
You know, getting up and doing what you're supposed to do on the roof, and you know, it's slowed a lot of that down. All the shit that they make them carry now, You know, you had shoes and no bunker gear, and they were on that roof in 30 seconds. They were getting the door, they were getting the glass, they were doing their perimeters. You know, their job on the roof was almost done before you even aligned in place.
Yeah.
And you know, and again, those Harlem trucks up there, they were second in 28, 30, 37, 20. I mean, those trucks, 26.
Yeah.
I mean, all busy trucks.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
No, and it was the same up in Harlem. Mikey Scotto, my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah, that was Mapes in 179. I almost stole that fire from 45. Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
So 88 quite a lot of work in 88, and
you know, I was lucky. I did. Richie Kersher told me that I was going to get arrested because I had an arsonist running around for me. But I did. I was lucky, you know. And when I got there, it was still a very, very senior house.
Yeah.
And that battalion was very, very senior. Vinny Albanese was the senior guy in the truck. I mean, legendary guy up there, and I loved him to death. He was the quintessential senior man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that guy. And they should take him and put him in a book to say, if you want to be a senior man, this is how you act. He's the guy that wanted to do 38 years in 38 truck.
okay.
So he got hired in 1968, right at the beginning of the arson wave, and he stayed there through the whole thing. And back then, there was no 58 trucks, so it was 31 and 38 for all that work. So you know, he'd seen it. He was a great senior guy. You know, he retired after doing 38 years, and unfortunately, 2 years later, we put him in a freaking ground.
Oh,
you know?
man.
But
You hear that all too often. A guy does so many years, finally retires, and within a couple of years, like 2 years, 3 years, he's gone. That's awful. Oh man, I hate hearing that.
Yeah,
I hate hearing
it was funny up there. So Mike Hayes, me and Mike Hayes, we worked together, and we got assigned. He got to sign at 38. I got signed at 88, just on the same order. So he was promoted before me, bounced for a little longer. And one of his pieces of advice he gave me when I got promoted, and I didn't bounce long at all because it was right after 9/11.
Yeah.
And right after I got promoted, I got put UFO at 50 truck. I'm like, what do you put me in 50 truck for? So I didn't want to stay there. So I took the detail to go to headquarters to work on Memorial Day.
Yeah. Okay.
But Mike says to me, he goes, listen, the one advice I can give you is don't expect the companies you're in now. He goes, not that they're not good, to operate the way we did in Harlem. You know, and my first fire in 88, it kind of happened. You know, it's in a project building, and I was kind of proud of myself. Tony Percivalli was my chauffeur, and he said, when you got me on the radio to give the 1075, he said, I thought you were going to ask for a 10-7. You were so calm. The truth of the matter is you're busting out of your shoes, but you don't want to sound calm. But what happened was I didn't know the building, never been in it. And it was a project, and it was 3 stairwells. We went up the center stairway, and the fire was all the way down one wing right next to the C stairway.
Yeah.
So we hook up, and I tell the guys it's a long way. You're going to have to add 48 links. But nobody said to me there's another stairway. And you know what? It's my fault. I'm the officer, and I should have realized a building that big, understanding NFPA 14, that there had to be another riser. Do you know what I mean? But your first fire.
Did you have younger guys on the back step? That
the guy on the control was a guy with some time.
So you would think the guy would tell him and be like, hey, Lou, you listen, I'm not stepping on your toes, but there's a closer way to hook up here.
Yeah, never.
You know, and I'm sure you would have appreciated that.
So I get to the door. Truck ain't there yet. I get in, and the apartment's almost clear.
Yeah.
Very little smoke, and there's one bedroom burning. It's not a big deal. It's out the one bedroom window. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
So the truck shows up. Bobby White's the captain. A guy named Cosgrove's working, and I'm waiting. Where the fuck is the line? I'm waiting. I mean, so now I go, and they're waiting at the fire door, which had closed for me.
They're waiting for you
to come and get him, bring him to the fire. Now in Harlem, we never did that. We went right to the fire was.
The boss knew what we were doing. We knew what the boss was doing.
Yeah. So Mike, it kicked in. So I bring him up there, and we come up 5 feet short. Fuck. We can't make the turn into the room. And I'm like, fuck. So I tell the truck, get a door. We used to do it in Harlem all the time. Get a door, put it over the room. Get something to cover the room up. Guy comes back with a mattress. I'm like, what are you trying to burn the fucking block down? So I look, and at the window, I see 58's bucket. And I remember that a lot of times in the old days, the buckets would carry a length of inch and 3/4 near to attach to the stang to do some wash down in vacant buildings. So I went up there. I go, you guys got that length of inch and 3/4? He goes, we took it out last month. I'm like, fuck. So 45 walks right by me and puts my fire out. My first fire in 88.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, man, dude. That's tough, man.
Very apologetic. You know, went to the chief. My fault. You know, smart card was the chief. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Oof, oof. I thought when you said find a door, I thought you were going to say, put the door here and we'll bank the line off the fucking door.
We tried that.
Yeah.
With the wall, just wasn't going to do it. And by that time, 45 had come in.
They probably had two lengths of hose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Billy Donlan was the boss, and Billy Donlan is one of the best. He's at 82 and 31, and I love Billy.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, Timmy, I'm here. He goes, I won't take it just in case. And finally, like, Billy, we can't get there. We came up short.
The nozzle man was like, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Oh, man. That's tough, though. That's tough, man. But you didn't know the building. You would hope that
no excuse.
Yeah.
I punished myself.
Yeah.
I punished and listen, to me is like, you can't make yourself better unless you're willing to critique yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know anybody that I consider real good. I mean, Jay's really good. You know, and Jay, even when, you know, like his podcast he did with you, I was actually shocked he was that good.
Yeah.
Because I think I always thought he was half a retard, you know, like, and I know that they loved him up there. You know, I know they loved him up there.
Loved him.
And, you know, like Jay challenges himself. And I think that if you want to be a good officer and even a good fireman, you know, like the fact that the fire went out is not a barometer of how good you did, just so you know that, because every fire goes out.
Yeah.
You know, and now you ask, hey, how did it go? Well, the fire went out. I'm like, well, that's really not a barometer. I'll give you a story. We had a fourth alarm on Crotona Park North. And we beat 82 in, but 82 ends up stretching off our rig. You know, it's that whole Bronx thing.
Yeah. Is this the one that you mentioned in the thing that you gave to me? Crotona Park?
Basement fire?
7th and 141, top floor, Crotona Avenue and Tremont Avenue. No, that's a basement.
No, that's the basement. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
This was just it was a fourth alarm. It was an oddball fire.
Yeah.
You know, it was in the channel rail. Mm-hmm. So I get there, we beat 82 in, and 82 stretches off us, and then we're trying to find a fire. And I see Stevie Moore from 27 truck. He's on the top floor. He goes, Timmy, it's in the channel rail. So I see 82 at the line, and it's a covering guy. I'm not picking on 82, and I'm like, hey, charge that line. It's right. He goes, I don't know. We don't know where to fire it. I go, it's in the channel rail, and we got to get water into the shaft wherever we can. So we're here. Let's charge it. And I'm not charging. So he's off my rig. I hit the chauffeur, you know, charge the line. So I don't know what happened to them or where they ended up, but that's not even the gist of the story. It's about challenging yourself. So we're up there, and I hear on the radio, it's out in the hallway on the 4th floor. We're on the 6th floor. I look at my guys, and I go, what did they just say? And then the next radio was, we're losing the 4th floor.
Get the fuck out of here.
Swear to God. So now I'm thinking about, okay, all that rope training I should have taken. And, you know, So I look at 88, and I tell the guys, just like this, I go, and I'm yelling at them. I go, get the fuck off the top floor. And I don't care how you get downstairs, but get the fuck below the 4th floor right now. And they go, what about you? I go, I got to let 27 truck know what's going on. And I want to make sure Steve knows that he heard that. So I go in, and they take off. And 42 engine comes up, and they were losing the 4th floor because it was coming up the stairs like a freight train. Yeah. So 42 takes care of it. Everything works out. But I get to the street, and I think some officers would have taken it as a compliment. One of my guys said, hey, Lou, I knew it was bad. I'm like, well, how'd you know it was bad? He goes, you've never raised your voice at a fire. And tonight you did. And I was like, wow, and then I got back to the firehouse, and I was banging my head on the desk, going, the one time in my career I should have been the most calm, I yelled. That's how hard I was on myself. Yeah. You know, and I think that if you want to be good, you have to do that. Yeah. You know, I've never been to a fire where everything went right. Never. Not one. Right. That we couldn't have done a better job.
Always. Yeah. You can always go look back and go, I could have done this better, that better. Yeah.
Well, and that circles back to what we already said about that, like 59 engine and 69, that accountability issue that you were going to be held accountable. Yeah. For what you did. Yeah. You know, nobody's held accountable for what they did anymore. You know, it's, you know, hey, listen, you didn't do good, but here's a unit anyway. You know, it's everybody gets a unit. You know, like, I want to know. I don't.
Everybody gets a fucking cookie these days.
Yeah,
right?
it's and it just in my book it just isn't good enough. If we can be like, there's things we can't control that can go wrong, and that's well and good. But there's a lot of stuff that we can do that's better.
Yeah.
If you're not challenging yourself to be better, then you never will be. So that was always my belief as an officer, at least.
Sure. What do we got here?
Oh, that's 7th Avenue between Lenox on 141 Street. That's another job.
Yeah, it looks familiar. That's for sure.
So that's a funny fire. And I got burned there. There's a picture of the lady working on my face. Killian was the boss there.
Yeah. Here it is.
Yeah, same fire. That's Killian.
Did you say, will I still be pretty after this?
Listen, that's what I was saying to her. But it was like a week before, a couple days before Patty's Day. So I had this big burn on the side of my face. On
it was big fire girls,
rescue kids.
it was
camels.
crazy.
Oh man, it was a whole zoo train I saved. So, but Mike Hayes was with me at that fire, and I've told this story before.
Yeah.
And we get water. Killian's there, and this guy Panero was backing me up, and Mike Hayes has got the door, and it's an old law tenement because those are all law tenements on that street, and it had the back 3 rooms. So the door splits the back 3 rooms, right?
Okay, yeah.
When you open the door, you got at least one room this way, and then the rest of the apartment runs to the front. So the fire on both sides of the door. So he goes, "You ready, Timmy?" I go, "I'm ready." I go, "Well, let's go." He goes, "Are you sure you're ready?" I go, "I'm ready, Mike. Let's go." He goes, "Okay, one thing." I go, "What is it?" He goes, "You're going to get burned." I go like this. I go, "What?"
You didn't have to fucking tell me that.
And I wasn't in the door 2 feet, and I could feel it. And I'm like, and Mike's we're laughing. I mean, it's this fire. I said, Mike's laughing. I told you you're gonna get burned.
Oh man. Oh shit. Wow, that's crazy, man. It's just the amount of experience and work that you guys did up there at those times was really freaking awesome.
There was a lot of fires down by you guys.
I mean, that whole area, it's totally slowed down by the time I got there. But
I told Nicolello once, I said, I always thought that 30 did more than 28. And he even said, nah, they're not doing, there's no way they're doing more than 28. But I got to tell you, the number of nights that I sat in that house watch, listened to the 12th Battalion with a job, with 14 and 30, 59, 36, 35, we didn't go. 28 didn't go. And, there were lots of nights there were fires over there. They were burning that whole Park Avenue, 5th Avenue, Lenox Avenue, 125, 126, 127.
Yeah.
There were fires up there every night.
Wow.
And that was all 59 and 30.
Yeah.
But even Nicolello said, he goes, nah, we had Bradhurst Avenue. Bradhurst was a shithole for the whole end. From one end to the other was a shithole.
Yeah.
And that was 23 truck up to Bradhurst Avenue.
Yeah. And that's funny. Like even my time, like 80 and 23, they did less runs than us, but they do more fires. And they're just on the other side of the park where sometimes we would go and a lot of times we wouldn't.
They weren't. Now, they were busy. They were going to fires, but I think they did more, like when Jay was up there, than I think the companies at the bottom of the hill, like 5930 and 6928, slowed down. They just stayed the same because they didn't have the vacant buildings up there that were in the valley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they weren't renovated up there. And once they renovated all those buildings, even if you had a fire, it was room and contents because it was sheetrock.
Right.
You didn't have the extension anymore. And that's why they had the big fires up there, because it wasn't renovated up there.
Yeah. I dropped a piece of paper. Hold on.
That's okay. Don't let it happen again.
All right. So listen, a lot of fire talk, all this stuff. You've done a ton of other shit though. You've been instructing for many years. You worked on the committee that ran the Madison Square Garden 9/11 memorial services. I definitely want to hear about that. You run a group that rewrote the engine ops manual. I want to hear about that too. But let's talk about the 9/11 Madison Square Garden memorial service committee.
So I was in 50 truck at the time. And, and again, I was on a pretty good group there. The guys weren't bad, but I didn't want to stay there. And I could see the handwriting on the wall that, after 9/11 with all those openings, you were where you got put, you were going to stay. So Jimmy Carney, who was I don't know if you remember Jimmy Carney from 69. What a great guy, man. Really, he was a senior man in 69, but one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life. And he called me because we used to run all their parties. I ran, like I said, their centennial. And he asked me if I wanted to help with the 9, and how do you say no?
Yeah, you can't.
So I go to headquarters, and it's funny. I get assigned to headquarters. I was there September, August, October, November, 4 months. And I tell everybody it's like being in prison. So you're in there with your, not your class A, but your white shirt. So I get in there, nobody talks to anybody. So you get in the elevator, and I was on the 7th floor, just below where I was in those offices up there with the big chiefs.
Yeah.
And so everybody's standing there, the door closes like this, and the guy leans over, he goes, "How long you in for?" And then the other guy's like, "What'd you do to get here?" It's like, you're in prison. How long you in for? I said, "Well, I volunteered to come down here, But I handled all the transportation. So I teamed with a guy named Rich Duffy from the Internationals.
Okay.
They paid for the for all the transportation. The city.
So transportation for the families?
For the families.
Okay, gotcha.
The family. I'll get into what we had. Every stretch limo, every 8-passenger limo from Wilmington, Delaware to Springfield, Massachusetts.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We rented it. I spent $1.5 million. So the city didn't want to help us at all.
Really?
So we had to rent Madison Square Garden,
Oh shit.
Yeah.
They didn't give that out for.
Nope. We had to rent it. Right?
And they probably charged you the going rate.
I'm gonna guess I'd be wrong, but I think it was upwards of $200,000, something like that. It was a lot of money, and I think the International handled it. Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many things that people don't know that went on with that. The cops, they were no help at all. I almost punched a sergeant out on 31st Street the day of the event. Jimmy Cody, remember I told you about the guy that was my nemesis?
Yeah.
Jimmy Cody came up to me and we became really good friends. He goes, "Timmy, the last time I saw you, you had a sergeant by the throat on 31st Street."
That's what. Now, why would you think that they wouldn't help? I mean, because firemen were getting so many firemen died. Were they getting more recognition?
We had all that recognition. And
like,
listen, I would have much rather given it to you guys.
Yeah.
You think we wanted to lose 343s of our brothers? I lost 40 personal friends. You think I asked for that? I lost more personal friends than you lost New York City cops.
Yeah.
So let's time out here, but they didn't care. So it was funny. Wow. I'm on the 7th floor, and because I'm handling transportation, they send me to a meeting with the chief of traffic division for the PD. Because what we wanted to do was when everybody was leaving the garden, we wanted to come out and go the wrong way on 8th Avenue to 23rd Street. Whatever it was, 8 blocks, because we figured that's where all the jumbotrons were going to be, and we figured 30,000 out of town firemen were going to be there, and they were close.
Yeah,
but it rained so hard that day that nobody was outside. But we figured and we would tell them, "We want you to stay there when they leave," and we wanted the families to see how many firemen showed up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I go to this meeting, and the chief of traffic tells me. And I'm a lieutenant now, brand new, and I'm dealing with the chief. And he comes out right away. He goes, "I hear you're going to ask to go the wrong way. Don't even talk about it. It's not even on the table." I go, "Well, it's on my list and it's on the table." He goes, "No, the logistics of doing it, the liability of doing it. Like, what do you mean, putting barricades at the intersections, chief? I mean, what are we?" He says,
"You mean like shutting down fucking Times Square and New Year's Eve?"
Exactly. So they wouldn't do it. Boom, they wouldn't do it. Oof. So, and then we had the problem of parking all the vehicles we had. So I had over 1,000 vehicles that I rented. So I had 410 8-passenger limos. And then I had everything else was either sedans, minivans, or we had a couple of small buses.
Yeah.
So we were looking for parking on 7th Avenue and 8th Avenue. But 8th Avenue this way, 7th. He goes, "We're only to give you 2 lanes of parking from 31st Street to 28th Street." And we figured out it would have accommodated 100 cars.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not enough.
And that's all they would do.
Oh, man.
So I get back, and Lee ILP walks up to me. And he says, "How'd you make out today, Timmy?" And I said, "Well, not so well. I mean, I said they really were very, very unreceptive to anything we wanted to do. So he goes, "Really?" And I said, "You know what?" And Lee's yelling at me. I go, "Hey, time out, buddy." I go, "I'm a fucking lieutenant dealing with the chief. If it was that important, don't you think they would have sent the chief there?" I says, "I did the best I could in the position I was in." So he goes, "We'll take," and he walks up and I hear him screaming at Crothers. Screaming at him. And 10 minutes later, he comes out, "You're going the wrong way on 8th Avenue." I hope he had some weight.
Wow.
So then we had to we had to rent parking garages. So we rented 4 parking garages for a 5-hour window for all these vehicles.
Yeah.
But then the problem came because there were so many vehicles and so many people, is that if I pick you up in a limo, how do I get you back in that same limo?
Same limo. Oof.
It was
That's a
impossible.
nightmare. That's a logistical traffic vehicle nightmare.
Well, we couldn't have done it. It was an impossibility to do it in the window of opportunity we had.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do, and I said, hey, why don't we do this? We'll color code, we'll break the pickup regions into 4 regions. Okay, Long Island being a region. Like Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island was a region.
Yeah.
And we had Northern New Jersey, Staten Island as a region. And then we had Westchester and Lower Connecticut as a region. And then there was Orange County for a region. Mm-hmm. And each of those regions had a color assigned to it: blue, red, yellow, green.
Yeah.
And we went out and bought the manila paper. And if the limo came out of Orange County, so if you were picked up by a limo in Orange County, it was a blue limo. All you had to do was get into a blue limo.
Didn't matter if it was the same
Didn't
one.
matter it was the same one. It was going to take you back to Orange County.
Why wouldn't you make the Orange County orange limos?
Are you fucking with me? Now I'm going to bang when I get off this, I'm going, you stupid fucking idiot.
I'm just fucking with you. I'm kidding.
And then we color coded the 4 parking garages too.
Yeah.
But there was so many other issues.
God.
That you can't, like the seating issues, restraining. We had restraining orders.
Restraining orders?
We had families that had
You're
restraining orders against fiancés because of money. And so we had one fiancé that couldn't be within 1,000 feet of the family. So which means, and she calls us crying. All she wants to go is the memorial. So we made sure we knew where the family was sitting, and we put her as far away as we could, but we got her in. But there was way more stuff that you can't even.
I can't even.
That we had to deal with doing it. And I told the guy from the union, and I told everybody on that group, I said, listen, give everybody an 8-passenger limo and be done with it. If they want more people to go than that, then they're on their own. And the union, the international was like, nope, we're going to transport everybody from that family that wants to go. Wow. So the York family was 27 people.
Wow. Was that the most?
That was the most. That's why I remember it.
Yeah, it was.
So they had like 4 vehicles.
Holy.
Wow. Then I had people calling. I had to rent handicap vans because we had to do it handicaps, and it was, listen, I have no regrets doing it. And then we archived everything. God forbid we have to do it again. So it's all archived there, what we did,
right,
and how we did it. And people don't realize we had the Father's Day fire too, because there was no memorial services for 2001. So that was a 2001/2002 memorial services. So we didn't have just 343. We had 356, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But it was I was very glad I did it.
But now they asked you to do it. Who asked you to do it again?
Jimmy Carney.
Jimmy Carney.
He wasn't. It was Jimmy Carney, Larry Flame, Duffy, Jimmy Duffy.
Yeah.
What's his name? He's another guy from '69.
Yeah.
Tommy LaMacha, Al Hagen, George Brennan, and then Sue Blake from 58 Engine.
Okay.
And then the head of the unit was this guy, Steve Graber. But Steve was a great guy, but he didn't. Jimmy ran the unit.
Yeah.
Jimmy ran.
But this is something that everybody's doing for the first time.
Yep.
You're dealing with a mass, and 9/11 was a mass casualty thing.
Yep.
Dealing with something like that, at least the FDNY in the city of New York for the first time, something that large, and now dealing with a memorial, the first. So nobody really knew. You're kind of almost doing things on the fly, like just thinking up shit, like what if we did this? What if we did that? There was no book to go by, like you guys made that you archived. So if God forbid something like that happens, they could.
Yeah, we went to a guy in Queens, and he was like the general contractor for the cars. And then he subcontracted everything out to all the other little places. And we had decided also, one thing I'm proud of that we decided was there was a book that went out, the 9/11 Memorial Book. And nowhere in that book are any of us mentioned as put together. And nowhere in the archived nowhere in the videos, nowhere are the group of people that put that together. And we decided on our own that this was about them and it was not about us.
Yeah.
And so we didn't take any recognition for doing it.
Wow.
You know,
Man.
so nobody, when you say that I worked on that, nobody knows, you know, because we didn't put it out there that people know.
Yeah.
We didn't want people to know. We wanted to be about the 356 guys, the 2001 guys and the 9/11 guys. And that's why we did it that way.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the fire department. That's New York City firemen.
Yes.
Right there. Like, just like on a different scale, obviously apples and oranges, but the hockey team, all they have on their back is bravest. It doesn't say their names. Nobody's an individual. It's about the job. It's about the brothers. It's about the team.
First lesson you learn.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about you anymore. It's about the team.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the FDNY and more than any other place. And I think it's our group chart that allows us to be the way they are, because we work with everybody in the company.
Yeah.
Not the four same guys every time.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So when I was in New Britain, Jay was on group 1. I was on group 4. I never saw Jay. I saw him once every 9 days at shift change.
Yeah. For half an hour.
So you talk about a company picnic. You're picnicking with people you don't know.
Yeah.
Or in New York, you work with everybody when you have a company picnic, and it's understood that, you know, there's things that are non-negotiables, like Memorial Day, line of duty deaths, and you know, fire department, firehouse functions. Like, if you want to be a member of that firehouse, you want to wear the 59 on your head, you want to come to a place like 59, then you make that shit. If not, plenty other firehouses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I like those busy places, because not only for the fires, but the way they operated and their love for the job, their love for the brotherhood, and how they did things to make sure that, hey, if we're cohesive here, we can be cohesive here too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's one thing that I've never really thought about, because, you know, I only know FDNY, but doing this now, I'm starting to run into guys that have worked in different departments across the country, and they had the A, B, C, D shift. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And you're right. Like, we work with everybody. We work with our whole firehouse at some point. You see everybody all the time.
Some of those A, B, C, D firehouses have 4 refrigerators, and they're all locked. Imagine that.
Okay, that's crazy.
Imagine in New York, another group had their own refrigerator. How long before Nicolello took the Halligan to that?
As soon as he'd walk in, he'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" He'd be like, "That's group 20." That's group 19 to 24's refrigerator." He'd be like, he wouldn't even say anything. He'd come back in with the saw, fucking start off. Oh, fuck this shit! Boom, boom, and that's that.
Yeah,
it don't work that way. It don't work that way.
Yep. You know, some places have 4, some places have 2, but very few of those. And it's not the guy's fault. It's their group chart's fault. It's not. I mean, they're firemen just like us, but they say, "Hey, how do you guys get that brotherhood?" And it's the chart. 100%.
It's the chart. It's the chart. I think every department, if they could, get that chart on their job, because it really brings everyone together. It's and in the academy, a guy he kept telling me, this is a change of lifestyle. You're gonna have 50 fucking brothers now. You got 50 new family members. You got to be there for everything. You got to do this, do that. It's a change of lifestyle, and if you're not into it, don't fucking take the job. Go somewhere else. Have a nice day. But so you've learned a lot of this by doing all these instructing things. How long have you been instructing Fire Matics type stuff?
My first year was the FDIC in 1995.
Okay.
I got asked.
What got you into that?
I got asked by Bob Pressler, who built their hands-on program at the time. They were going to conduct a live burn, and Mike Lombardo, the chief in Buffalo, he wasn't a chief then, he was a lieutenant in Ladder 11, needed guys to help him with the live burn. So he asked Mike, I hadn't met Mike yet, if he would take me. So I went, and the first couple of years we just did the live burns, and we were just bringing guys in the buildings on fire. So Mike sits down, he goes, "Hey, Timmy, listen, I'm going to give you the engines, and I want you to handle all the engines, but you got to come up with a spiel. You got to come up with something to teach them at the front door." So I came up with just what I did. I mean, I don't teach anything that I don't invent anything. Like, that's what's happening now. Guys got to make their product better than Timmy KLETT's product. You know what I mean? So they get more classes, so they invent nonsensical stuff. I teach what I know works because I've used it. So that's all I did. I came up with, hey, listen, this is how you should hold a nozzle. And this is how you should manipulate the nozzle. This is what you should listen for, because you can't see. You want angry water. You want the water working for you. And it just kind of blossomed into, I did a class at Firehouse, then I started doing classrooms. And once you do those, it kind of, and then you got local places. And now I'm 2 years ago, I had 70 flights.
Yeah, you were telling me that the other day. 70 flights, 70 times you went somewhere throughout the year to teach.
Yeah, it's too much.
And you teach strictly engine
so
ops?
I've kind of expanded. I was doing all engine stuff, but because I was an officer for 19 years, I started doing an officer's class. That's been very well received. And again, I just did it how I handled stuff, how I did it, what worked for me, as being an officer. One of the things I say is I never asked for anything from my firefighters. And they're like, you don't? I go, nope. If a guy wanted to go to the parts store, we went. I never went to the parts store. I never, and I tell them, but that day's going to come when you ask them. And so I asked the group, I go, what's that day where you ask your guys for something? And they look at me, I go, it's the fire floor. And then you look at your guys, and now I need something from you, bro. Can you put this fire out for me? Let's go. Yeah. And that's when an officer should be asking for shit from their guys. Other than that, I give them whatever they need. You want to drill? You want to go to the store? I was a guy that drilled. That was my non-negotiable. It didn't mean we were going to empty the hose bed. It just meant that we were going to talk about fires at least once a day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And what you were saying before, just like when you started, how to hold a nozzle, how to fucking turn it, how to do this, basic fundamentals of hose operation, of nozzle is, if you can do the basic fundamentals, you're not going to go wrong. You're going to put the fucking fire in. Yeah.
It works. And
if you can master that shit, you're going to be all right, man.
I was just talking to a guy the other day because I just got back yesterday from Iowa, and they're actually coming up with words. I said this to my friend from Elcott Brass, because you guys have created a word to cover up for bad training. And they go, what do you mean? I go, nozzle whip. I never heard about nozzle whip.
The fuck is nozzle whip?
What happened is they're teaching guys to hose the nozzle, and there's this much nozzle after your front hand. So here's your hands, and there's this much so the nozzle whips back and forth. And it's bad training. So they came up with a word for it. I said, hold the nozzle the right way you're supposed to. You know what I mean? In a position to defend yourself. This is how our boxer fights. This is how you should hold a nozzle. If you hold it here with your hand right behind a coupling, you get no nozzle whip. I mean, it's just stupid. But, some of the stuff that's out there. But I enjoy it. You meet a lot of people, a lot of good people that are into the job. The problem is everybody that you go out there with, especially if you're from a big city. And I was the same guy. I'm going to tell you that right now. If a big city guy told me to jump off the Empire State Building when I was a young volunteer fireman, I would have done it because, my God, he's a big city fireman. And I think that we need to be careful in the information we're putting out there, because some of that information might get somebody killed. I mean, because they're going to try it. If a big city fireman says to do this, they might actually try because they want that. They holy cow, you went to all these fires. If it works for you, it's going to work for me. And sometimes it doesn't. It works for me. The way I do things is because I have 60 firemen on the fire ground. You have 4. You've got to find out what's going to work for you. Now, I tell them all the time, I go, listen, your job is to take a colander, take all the information you get, and sift out all the crap that isn't going to work for you based on your manpower, your apparatus, your buildings, your water, your response times, and what's ever remaining, that's what you take out of there and try to apply it to what you do. Yeah. So, but I'm getting ready to go into harbor and dock the boat forever.
The FDNY name carries a lot of weight, I imagine, with some of the smaller, less known departments. And I'm not, talking about like, Detroit or Chicago, they're big cities, but the FDNY name, like if you're teaching in fucking Iowa somewhere and they have a 15, 20 man department and they don't know anything, and you said something else too, guys teaching stuff that, or like young guys, not young guys, but don't have the experience and they're coming up with this crazy shit. And you're like, well, how many fires have you been to? I hate to say that. I hate to be like that guy, but seriously.
No, but be that.
Guys that have, but you need I want guys that have got the 30 years, that have been to fucking 1,000 jobs, that have seen the right thing, seen the wrong thing, made mistakes, learned from them, took accountability. Not some 5-year fucking bop.
I want to talk to the guy that walked on the moon, not the guy that thought about walking on the moon.
Right, right. And unfortunately, I was not doing this. I'm not a huge technical guy, like as far as doing tactics and stuff like that. There's a lot of great guys out there that do that. I say I'm more fluff. Like I like to have fun and laugh and
Oh my,
hear stories and hear stories from guys and but definitely because of what you do, I talking a little technical stuff is pretty cool. But seriously, like there's guys out there with social media now. I try to avoid it, but sometimes you can't, and I'm just like, oof,
so
that's not good.
I don't
want to talk. I don't want to like blow anybody up online.
And here's to be honest with you, some people need blowing up, but
yeah.
But I'm a thorn in their side sometimes because. So when me and Jay started first doing this all those years ago, and Paul and anybody that's been doing it for a long time, there wasn't a lot of training out there. There really wasn't, and so you were tough in what you got, and we were sponges. We wanted as much as we could get. And now there's so much out there, and it's so watered down, and it's become a business where training was never really a business. And listen, I can say that I'm capitalizing from that too, but I can also say that I believe at least, and that my product I can back up.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to sell you a car that I've never driven. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of people out there, like there's a couple of things that I'm totally against. And all this training you see about operating a nozzle, it's in a parking lot. Do you ever see it? It's all in parking lots. That's where they train. And I'm like, well, I don't go to a lot of parking lot fires. I said, in the parking lot, that's going to work great. But I'm going to tell you right now, that leg lock and dragging that knot line, the minute you go up over that threshold of that door and make one little turn, you're done. You're out of business. And unless you know how to do that without the leg lock, then you're going to get stuck right there at that fucking front door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have another thing that was developed. They called it the water mapping prop. Have you ever heard of that?
God, no.
It's a $20,000 prop. And it's made out of plexiglass, and you can move through it with 1 3/4 inch, and it shows you how you're distributing the water.
Okay.
They call it water mapping. And I'm against it because I tell everybody, well, that's a visual aid in a sound powered environment. We should be teaching our nozzle firefighters, hey, Kenny, you hear that? That's the way it's supposed to sound when you put water downrange the right way. But now you got firemen looking because this generation is very visual. They need to see everything. And I'm telling you, you got to teach your mind to be able to see what you hear in a fire. I mean, I was always listening to fire, and you'd be surprised how much you hear. You ask guys who have found victims, well, how'd you know they were there? He goes, I heard the moaning.
All that other fucking noise.
All that other stuff. I heard the moaning. Yeah, because I shut down and I was listening. And we just don't do that no more.
You're completely right. But back in the day, my day, being in a fire, like I felt like my hearing senses was just heightened. I could hear, as you're going down, you could hear windows being taken. You could hear,
I call them fire noises.
Yeah, you could hear like
getting cut, the windows going.
Wind's getting going. You hear this on the radio. I mean, it's when you operate.
I got one for you. You're stretching up the stairs and you're hearing the Halligan hitting the flathead. How many times have you heard that?
Oh yeah, like it just
it does. I'm like this. Boing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, from the the 10 code 1075, I start getting, here we go, babe. I'm getting a boner. Yep. But seriously, like I think that's part of. I don't know if it's instinct or you learn. I don't know if I've ever learned that. I felt like that right away. You're just so honed in on.
I think a lot of it has to do with and this generation needs to know why also. And I don't have a problem with why. And as a matter of fact, I think as officers, and I had every probie that came in '88 for 19 years. I told the captain I want every single probie, and so every kid that walked in that door came to my groups. Mm-hmm. And I did the same thing. I had a book I gave them. And what I would tell them was, I took everything out of our books and I said, here, this is what you should be reading. I said, I'm not giving you reading assignments. I'm not that guy. I said, but there's a reading schedule in the front of it. And I have the dates of those schedule too. So if I come down on March 3rd and I'm going to ask you about what you should be reading this week, you better know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I treated everybody the same way. And I taught them all the same way. And that way, in 19 years, you had 19 brains that were working the same way.
Yeah.
And they ask why, and I think we owe them to that. Even when we're training outside the job or training in the job, at a drill, hey, Lou, why do we do it this way? Right? And I owe them that question because if the fire answers that question for them, they're having a bad day. So I give them the why and I tell them, but the why on the fire ground, there's a different answer coming your way. You know, you ask me why in the fire ground, it's because I fucking told you that's why.
Yeah.
You know, so the training is, you know, our job with training. You know, and that's one thing that was as a young officer, and I would give this to any young officer that's getting promoted now, is to tell them, drilling your guys, you're not being a bad guy. By not drilling your guys, you're being a bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? And I know it's because they don't want to drill. Nobody does. And you know our job. And I mean, like, but that was, you got to have a non-negotiable. And right from the beginning, that was my non-negotiable. We were going to drill. And, you know, like the senior man would come in and say, hey, Timmy, they're cleaning the basement for annual inspection. You mind if we don't? Like, oh, no, we won't go out today. But you mind if I pop in a video at lunch about this building we have down the block? We were going to talk about fires at least once a day.
Sometimes
that's all it takes.
Sit in the kitchen for 20 minutes and talk about a fire. Yeah.
And the good companies, they'd be like, oh, fucking 59 doesn't drill. And I would tell guys, bullshit, we don't drill. You know, 69 doesn't drill. I go, bullshit. We were cutting roofs up there in vacant buildings. We were flowing water in vacant buildings up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the busy, oh, you're so busy. You know, you think you're who you are. You don't drill. I go, bullshit. We're busy, but we're good not because we're busy. We're good because we drilled.
Yeah.
We're good because we were held ourselves accountable for how we operated.
Yeah.
That's why good companies are good.
That was one of the great things when I got up there. There's still a lot of vacant buildings, and we would go into them, spray some water, cut the roof, pull some ceilings, do this and that. The engine and the truck together would do their shit. You know, all the vacant buildings disappeared, but getting that training was fucking awesome.
When I got up to E-88, I started doing that. Guys were amazed. I was going to vacant buildings to throw water. So we walk into a vacant frame on like 182 Street off of Park Avenue. And I get on the first floor. I'm looking around to see, and I look in the back room. Here's this so much guy taking a Stanley steamer, and I'm like, "Bro, we're just going to the top floor. We ain't gonna bother you.
We'll wash that down for you when you're done." All right, one question here before we get on to the engine ops. I wanted to ask you: do you get any blowback from any of these departments while you're training, and do you train hands-on and in the classroom?
I train both hands-on and in the classroom.
Okay, okay, you do.
Blowback. I've had
guys arguing like, that's bullshit. What am I going to do with that for? That way?
No, you know, like, so that's the thing is like, I don't delve into anything I don't know.
Okay.
Like, you're not going to stump me on an engine. I didn't get the Wizard of Water, the Bro of H2O nickname, you know, and it's
Did
all.
Did you make those up yourself?
No, I didn't. 58 truck, no, 56 truck gave me the Wizard of Water.
Because the Walshes never referred to you as the
That's
Wizard
56 truck. You know what happened? I went to a fire one night. I think it started, and 56 was there, and I showed up, and I was like an extra engine, and they couldn't get water in the standpipe. And it was Francis Donnelly. I don't know if he was still in the 16th when you were up there. Frank Donnelly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he was acting in the division, and he turns to me, and he goes just like this in front of me. He goes, "Oh, Timmy, thank God you're here." I'm like, what? He goes, "I can't get water in the standpipe. Can you figure it out for me?" I says, "I got you, Chief," and that because that's what a chief wants to hear.
Yes.
I got you. And believe I got lucky. I figured it out and I fixed the problem for him. I mean, like that, you know, and everybody was amazed because they had tried to fix it. And just, I know those systems. I've studied those systems.
Yeah.
You know, I tell guys, I read NFPA 14. It's about, you know, standpipes and sprinklers. I've read that.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood them and I knew where to look and I found the problem and I was able to fix it. And that's how that started. 56 was there and they were standing in the lobby as a fast truck. And somebody goes, "Wow, you're the Wizard of Water." And then from that point on, it was Mago de Agua. And it's, you know, it's funny and all. And I said, I don't think I'm the best engine officer up there. I just got lucky that night. You know, I knew the systems. I was an engine guy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be the best at it as I could. So that's why I read this nonsense. You know what I mean?
I thought Chief Donnelly would be like, "Thank God you're here. Here, hold my coffee. I'm going to go do something."
I got a funny story. I was driving, and this is kind of off topic, but you'll like this. Because Tommy Roby was in the 16th. He was going long before you got up there.
Yeah.
And I was driving one day. We got sent to Midtown, relocate to the 9th Battalion. So we get sent to a box. It turned out to be a high-rise job, 776. So we get there, and I'm like, fuck. He goes, no. We're the firefighting chief. I said, "Oh, fucking great." So I go to the back. I get his mask out of the back. I get it on him. I throw my mask on.
Yeah.
So I get my stuff. And I get the keys, I lock the car, and off we go. We get in the elevator, and now we're having fun. Me and Roby are having fun. We're telling guys, "Get out! We're the attack chief," you know. It turned out to be nothing.
Yeah.
We're walking back to the car, and I go, "Hey, Chief, you're going to be real proud of me." I says, I got everything out of the car. I made sure, I got this stuff. I locked the car, and I go, I even got the keys in my hand. Probie walks up to the car, throws his helmet in the open window, and says, "Great job, Tim."
That's great.
I'm
I
like,
locked
hey,
everything up, but I left the window.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, Chief. Come on, man.
That's
I
hysterical.
got some blowback. I was in Florida, and I got blowback. I was doing a class, and I got told that I was going to have to take some slides out of my program. And I told them I'm not doing that. And I got accused of being a Nazi.
Oh,
Believe it or
come
not.
on. Oh,
So I have a couple of references, like I read a lot, especially about World War II.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read you this quote that I took out of it's from this guy, Otto Carius. He was a commander of the 502nd Heavy Panzer Battalion during World War II. He was just a guy doing his job. You know what I mean? He wasn't a Nazi. He was for the Wehrmacht. He wasn't in the SS. But he taught at their officer school at Bad Tolz. And the quote is what they put to every officer. And if I could have done it for flips, I would have told them, this is what you should put over the door.
Yeah.
And the quote is, and it was in my class, the enthusiastic acceptance of responsibility is the most dominant characteristic we must demand of our company level officers. And when I read it, it blew my mind. I'm like, holy shit, that's it. You are now responsible, and you have to accept that responsibility. And this place, because I gave him credit for the quote.
Yeah.
And there was one other one that I quoted about a guy. I talk about how, hey, listen, if 59 Engine does good at a fire, who gets the credit? And I go, they do. The firemen do. I don't think
59
anybody.
Engine.
But if 59 Engine fucks up, who takes the blame? I do. And it is my fault as the officer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So there was this quote that I took out of a book about a guy that got a medal. And he said, and this is the quote, I remember, he says, what can I say without my men? What can I say without my men risking what they did to save what could be saved? I would be nothing at all. It is them that deserve this medal, my brave lads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I put that up there, just saying, hey, listen, if the company fucks up, that's your fault. It's on you. But if they do good, you step back, and it was all them. And that one fire you talked about on Crotona and 179,
Yeah.
basement job. And I'll tell you right now, unequivocally, I can say there isn't 5 engines that would have gone down those stairs. And, we had very little choices. And I had the chief in the 3rd Battalion walking around. I don't remember who he was. And I'm walking, like you always did after fire, you looked around at the job once there was no smoke.
Yeah.
Chief comes up, he goes, 88, you were first too. I said, yeah, Chief. He goes, how'd you get in the basement? We're standing right there. I go, we went down those stairs. He laughed. He goes, you didn't go down those stairs. I go, we went down those stairs. He says, I go, Chief, I'm not going to argue with it. That's how we got in the basement. And he goes, just like this. He says, wow, that's a great officer. And I looked at him, I go, Chief, I beg to differ. I said, I didn't do a thing. I told my guys what they want, and I was along for the ride. I go, it's those guys. They did it. And the chief said again, he goes, nope, that's you. I go, well, we're not going to agree on this. That was all them. And when I went out to the street, and I told him, I took him aside, says, you guys have no idea how proud I am of you guys right now. You have no idea what you did. I told him that. I go, you have no idea what you just did.
Yeah.
It was one of the highlights of my career, going down those stairs.
Nice.
And they were great. And the fucking guys were great. Did everything right.
Basement fires, going down the stairs initially for a basement fire is one of the toughest things.
This had complete control of the basement.
Wow.
So the building was probably 25 by 60. And every time I opened the door at the top of the stairs, the fire blew out.
Shit.
And we had no choices because there was a family upstairs. I didn't know if there was another way. And I just told the nozzle, this is what we're going to have to do. You have to flow. We had to flow to get down the stairs.
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
Yeah. No.
So we flowed, and once he made the turn, and it was funny how fires distort that distance thing. Like, I thought we went 5 feet, and we'd already gone 35 feet. And they were so good, man. I was so proud of that company that day. I took 0. They gave us a unit for it. I wrote them up for a unit. They got it.
Nice.
And I couldn't say how proud I was. That's Mapes in 181. That's another funny fire.
Huh.
Mikey Scotto was with me for this fire, and 38 got lost going to the box, their first new truck. So I get in there, and the fire's on the first floor. It's out in the public hallway. So so the foyer, the public hallway in the first floor is lights out. So it was two doors. It was a main door, then a foyer door. So I go through the main door and I open the foyer door and it's lights out and blows out. So I slam the door shut. So
Yeah.
Mikey Scotto walks in. He goes, "Timmy, is this the apartment?" I go, "Mike, it's the lobby." He goes, "It's the lobby." He opens the door, he slams the door. He goes, "Timmy, it's out in the hall." I go, "No shit." But my chauffeur, I have the radio recording of it, and my chauffeur calls me and goes, "chauffeur to 88, you're on positive water," and you hear me on the radio go, "Wonderful!" Just like, and we had the whole flat. It was great.
Oh man, it's
That was
nothing
a good
better than a
fight, too.
fucking kick-ass job, and you guys do a good job and get everything
Very
right.
good.
You know,
The
or
guys-
put the fire out and everybody goes home safe.
You know what's
Yeah,
funny
that's
is
fucking
some of these
awesome.
young guys that I had this guy, the guy that went down the stairs on Crotona Avenue, Al Torado. Again, I trained him, and the guy backing him up, Joe Persinger, was another probie that I trained, and they both had nozzle backup these two fires, and this one was at Camberling and 187, and we come down the block, and it's something I learned in Harlem. As soon as we turn the corner, I pick up the phone. I go 1075 to the 1075, and everybody's like, I'm telling the chauffeur, we got a job, we got a job, and they're like, after the fire, everybody's like, "What did you see?" And I said, when I first got the 69, there was a guy named Scoop Mallon, Jimmy Mallon. He was a senior guy in 28 truck. And we were talking one day, just talking. And then I tell guys, you don't know what you know until all of a sudden you do something like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just a conversation on the top floor. And he says, when I turn the corner with the rig, because the way those streets are, I never look down the block. I always look up. And as we go down the block, then I lower my look this way. But the only way to look over the building is when I first turn in the block. So I guess I do that on every box. And as soon as I turn the corner, I'm looking up, and I can see the column of smoke behind the building coming up with sparks in it.
Oh.
And then I look, and nobody else saw it. And that was a first class fire. I mean, I got to the second floor. It was out 4 windows on the second floor and 2 windows on the third floor already, and out in a public hallway from the top of the door to the bottom of the door. The truck boss, I'm laying on the stairs, and I'm trying to reach to get the door shut, and the truck boss comes around, and he goes, "Timmy, it's out in the hallway." I look at him and I go, "No shit." But he put that fire out, the whole thing himself. And I told him, I says, that's probably a career fire right there. Probably won't have one like that again. They gave us a unit for that one,
Yeah.
and 2 months later, he's going out of the basement. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Had the right guys with you for sure. All right. So you were on the group that totally rewrote engine ops.
Yes.
Why did engine ops need an overhaul, and who started it, and who got approval? How'd you do that? How'd you work that out?
So it hadn't been overhauled. I believe Andrew Fredericks was the last one to look at it in the early 90s, and it hadn't been looked out since. And Frank Lee was in the process of trying to go back and rewrite our books. And a lot of people don't realize in our books, some of the citywide drills, remember citywide drills? The pictures of stretching up an aerial, the picture was a wooden ladder, a wooden aerial ladder.
Yeah.
Right. And then there was another one stretching a hose to the roof. The engines were 1940s pumpers
Yeah.
in the pictures. They were drawings, but they were still they were B model Max.
Yeah.
You know,
They
so
were still fucking horses.
yeah. So Frank Lee was looking at it, and Ray was the chair. Ray McCormick was the chair. And he had a vision for that book and how the book was going to be laid out. We were going to try to consolidate a lot of the citywide drills, and because there's stuff everywhere in our books, and so you'll read something in a book and it'll say we'll reference citywide drills, and we didn't want that. If we wanted the guy to be able to read engine ops and get everything in there, and so that was the big onus. So Ray had his vision for the book, and so then he started asking people. Mark Merrill out of 255, and there's a chauffeur that is fantastic. He was in my Probie class, but I didn't think I could learn anything, and he taught me a lot about the pumps. Talking to him, he wrote the section on the pro pressure governor, and he was the guy who came up with the idea about checking to see if you could supply another line by using the tank to fill. You know, that came from Mark. So Mark was really good. John Galan was in it. What's the guy? Who's the officer in 69 that was in it? He was working the night Mikey was killed.
Quinn.
He was on that group. Dougie Mitchell was on that group.
Yeah.
Dougie was a truck guy that was on that group, but he was our bridge between the engine manual and Probie school because we wanted to make sure that we bridged that when we were writing that book down.
Yeah.
So, you know, it got tough because we had COVID right in the middle. And we had met 3 or 4 times before COVID. And then we didn't meet for a while. And a couple guys had retired. And then we met like 20 times after that.
Yeah.
And we went through that book word by word. And there were some big changes.
What was some of the big changes?
1 3/4 and store fires.
Okay. Yeah.
Not taxpayers.
Not taxpayers. Store fires.
Like Harlem's loaded with them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You
The
get them out
bodegas.
the top.
Now,
Yes.
that's one thing, you know, let's, for whoever's listening, we call taxpayers. It's basically a one strip.
It's a one-story,
One story, all stores.
all
A
stores.
store, that's a taxpayer. A store fire is like a bodega, a grocery store with multiple dwellings above it. Yes.
Yeah. So, like, if anybody doesn't know, if you have a 2.5-story frame or something downtown in your town, and there's a little bakery on the first floor, that's what we're talking about, a store fire.
Yes. Yeah.
And the argument that I pushed for because they were against it, and I said, well, let me get this right. I said that same space, that same occupancy, if it's loaded with mattresses, couches, beds, all that stuff, I can take an 1 3/4. But I have a store that's full of potato chips and beer. I have to take the 2.5. And the chiefs looked at me and looked at the group and were like, okay. And we were going to try to put caveats, but we didn't want to do that because we don't want robots. We put this in there, and it didn't say that you have to use it. It said you can use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it compatible, like that always say, compatible with fire conditions, you can use it. But that was a big change. We tried to train some friction losses. And I tested it myself when they told me they couldn't get it. And I'm connected to a lot of the manufacturers through my teachings.
Yeah.
So I talked to Elkhart, I talked to Keyhoes personally. The job didn't know that I did that, and they didn't know that I had those connections. And Keyhoes says, no, it's 13.5. And I said, listen, I can't replicate it. He said, send me the hose. I said, well, I can't send you FDNY hose.
Yeah.
I said, but I'm just telling you, we can't replicate those pressures. So that stayed. We fought against, and they just changed it. The Brooklyn guys wanted first, second, third to arrive as far as what companies did. First to arrive did this, second to arrive. And it's a wording thing, but we wanted it first, second, third due.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's too much ambiguity to arrive, because if I'm second due, and I know that if I'm third due, I get a better position, I'll make myself third to arrive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, guys can word it, if they get jammed up, be like, well, the book says
I was third to arrive.
I was the third to arrive, so I got this position. No, it's due on the ticket.
Yep.
Is how it is.
And we argued that's what makes the New York City Fire Department the fire department they are, because of our books and because of the command and control of, listen, we have specific things that you're supposed, as the first due engine. So if there's any question, we always do what? We revert back to the ticket. Hey, 59's first due.
Yeah.
There were nights up there. I remember coming down Lenox Avenue, and there was 138, 139 it's border, but
it's a borderline. Yeah, it's
we're coming down, and we're at 13. I think it was on 138. We're at 139 in Lenox, and we see the lights coming, but you're still at 135 Street, and it's out to 3. And we stopped and waited.
Yeah.
What do we do? But that's the way, because we always go back to the ticket. And now it leaves a lot of ambiguity. So we fought for it. It stayed first, second, third due, but somebody just sent it to me. They changed it. First, second, third to arrive.
First, second,
that was a
third
big
to arrive. That's a big
And we
deal.
consolidated a lot down. It went from, I believe, over 200 pages down to like 170 pages. So there was a lot of stuff that was repetitive through the document, and we got that out, and we took a lot of stuff from other places, right?
Yeah.
And then a guy got mad at me and he called me up. He was breaking my balls because we took ladder pipe out of it and we put it in ladders. And the guy was mad. That's an engine operation. I said, I don't know any ladder company that's going to give me their ladder truck. They're not doing that.
No,
it's a ladder operation. The only part of the engine operation is supplying them.
We're supplying. It's like supplying, like a tower ladder. They're operating. We're just supplying the pressures, and as the engine chauffeur, we might help them, connect or whatever. But the truck guys are operating that ladder pipe, and Nick was huge on the ladder pipe.
Well, and you guys shined with it too.
Yeah, we fucked around with it in drilling, but
we did a lot.
At a fire, that was the truck's job. We just supplied the water.
And that's that good companies. Like, they were in position, why move 30 truck out of there? You know what I'm talking about at the cathedral.
Yeah. St. John the Divine.
They can put that ladder pipe in operation. And people say a lot about Keith, but, Keith, he could, I knew Keith very well too. You know what I'm talking about? But like he was 100% into the job. He was 100% 30 truck.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they were going to look good no matter what. Mm-hmm. And he used to wear that bell cap every morning, probably still 11 bells. Did he do it? Bing, 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 bing. Every morning. So, there's a guy, you can say what you want about him, but he came in like that and he left like that. And none of the bullshit and none of the nonsense changed him. And that's the guy I want to work with. As much as a pain in the ass he could be. Yeah. That's the guy I still want to work for.
Yeah, for sure.
Work with.
Now, you just mentioned, the bullshit that things have changed. What did you notice the biggest change from when you got on to when you left, or even now? Because since you're still in with the training, like what's the biggest change
in the New York City Fire Department?
Yeah, in the New York City Fire Department.
So I think it's really starting to show its head now, but the lack of experience. It's just, the lack of so an engine, and again, I said those engines in Harlem were the best engines. And in my heart, I got to believe they probably are still some of the top engines in the country. But they're so dependent now on another company to help them that it's causing delays in lines that are causing top floor fires to take the whole roof off the place. Like I don't think they're as independent as they used to be, the engines. And I think that the officers have become more robotic, where if the book says this, that's what I'm going to do. I'll give you an example. And this isn't this. I was first promoted, and I go across the park. We called it across the park, over by 90 Engine. And it ends up being a third alarm, a true cockcloth fire in one of those big, huge buildings on Matthews Avenue out that way. So it was 15 links to the top floor, the first line. We're a third engine.
Yeah.
So I tell 88, I go, listen, give him a hand with the courtyard, but don't commit to the building. We have the second line. There isn't another engine there yet. So as soon as they get that line there, I'm looking. So we take the second line up the fire escape into the top floor. We have water the same time as the first line. And we actually, and Mike Scotto says it all the time. He goes, you guys saved that building. And I'm not doing this. I'm just saying that I was able to think out of the box because of what I learned by those guys in Harlem. And as we get farther away from those guys that did all that work, the less of that individuality and the thinking is going to be of trying to do something, like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Guys are waiting to be told to do something. John Newell, like I said before, was my guy. He was always ready to go to work. We always got put to work because he was, and that's my credo now. And it came from John. And so when I would show up, after the first line was stretched, if I was a fourth engine or after, I always had the bottle, and I walked up, and I didn't stick it in the face, but I held it up like this, and I go, Chief, I'm second on the second alarm, and they see the bottle, and I go, and if you need a line, I can get one off of 42. Yeah. Because my guys knew that that's what I expected them to do. So I'd be walking up to the command post, and my guy with the nozzle would go 42, and I'd hear the 42 on the radio. So Chief, and we'd have three engines ahead of us. See if you nail the line to the top floor, I can get your line off of 42. And I would just turn around, and I would tell you right now, 9 times out of 10, hey, Timmy, Chief, give me a line to the top floor. I'd walk by three engines that were waiting to go to work.
Yeah.
And I don't think you see a lot of that anymore. And now some of that lack of experience, I think, is filtering into the chief's positions.
You saying that completely reminds me of Jay Walsh. That's how he worked. Like he knew, we knew when we worked with him, we were going on a multiple, find the engine at work.
Yep.
We'd one guy might go with him to the command post, nozzle and back up, would find somewhere and ready to go. And
I taught him that. I taught him everything he knows.
So now you said, as far as like stretching, engine companies now are heavily relying on, I don't know if you said heavily, but they're relying more on the second units to get there to help them stretch. Do you think that's a big impact, not having the doorman anymore? That doorman helped out that one guy.
It did, but so, I think it's a training issue too. I mean, listen, having another guy helps.
Yeah.
But you should, with 3 guys, and even if the officer gets to the top floor, helps like out. But with 3 guys, I don't see how you can't teach a guy, like the backup guy, the control guy.
Yeah.
All I want you to do is drag hose to the bottom of the stairs, not the back step.
Mm-hmm.
So that covers a pretty, take your fold 2, drag it to the bottom of the stairs, then come back out and pull what you think we need and break it and connect it, or tell him to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But they're just staying at the back step. So there's one way right there. And now all I can do is worry about the verticality of it. Now, will it be up there as quick as it would if I had the extra guy? No. But as an officer, I know it's coming. And it's not really the first line, but that's especially a top floor fire where you need 3 lines, the fire department and the 2 adjoinings like this.
Yeah.
Because we saw it in the engine tactical, and that was one of the drills we ran. And Jay was part of engine tactical.
Yeah.
And we would tell the companies, listen, you're stretching the top floor by yourself. And the first thing they'd say is, well, we don't have another engine. I said, well, he goes, we always, well, today you don't. And we should have done the drill and then showed them or come up with, hey, this is what you could do to circumvent not having that guy. So they became very reliant on that next engine. There's companies that won't stretch without two engines.
They won't even.
No, and that's not happening. When I was in 88, that's not happening. If I tell a chief, I'm getting a line to the top floor.
Yeah.
I don't care if I have a second engine. I didn't rely on it. So that was the thing. And Jay's mindset was probably the same way. I got an assignment. I didn't rely on it. That assignment was going to get filled, get done, and I wasn't going to rely on help from anybody.
Yeah, for sure. Now I got a question for you. This might be a little controversial. Can you push fire?
Why? Somebody just asked you that, huh?
No, I got notes here. I got notes. I wrote notes down.
So again, you know that I'm into it, and I read a lot, and I follow NIST, and I follow you well, and
thank you.
So yes, you can. I've seen it. I've experienced it. UL doesn't want to say that because then it blows a hole in a lot of their other what they're pushing about the flow path and all that other stuff that they're pushing. Flow path. There was a guy in the 1800s that did a study about how wind and flow affected fires. It's not a new science, but like I said before, they're creating new stuff to sell a product. So in their findings, I read their findings, and it said our study has shown that water from our hand lines does not push fire. Blah 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 blah, and then 3 pages of absolute nonsense. The last paragraph said, in conclusion, our studies did also find that the air movement created by the flow of our streams had the propensity to push heat and smoke. So what are you saying, bro?
Yeah, like you're saying no in the first paragraph and yes in the last paragraph and fucking bullshit in between.
So I tell everybody this. Anybody that said you can't do that, I go, have you ever gone to a campfire? They go, yeah. I go, do me a favor. The next time you go, take a cup of water and throw it at the fire and see what the fire does. When you throw it at the fire goes that way. You tell me that's not pushing fire. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. Like, it's stupid. You can absolutely push heat.
Yeah.
Anybody that hasn't, like we burn in these Conex boxes and up at up at the New York State Chiefs. You should take a trip up there. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. I might head up there and hang out with you guys one night.
Yeah, you should. It's fun. It's a great group of guys.
Yeah.
But we'll be outside and you can see, we'll get black smoke pumping out of the boxes. Jay will be in there with the engines and I'll be talking to some of the students outside. And you can tell, not by what you hear, but like from the outside, the smoke changes direction as soon as they open a nozzle. Now that's flow path, but it's still pushing or pulling. If I can pull fire and pull smoke, then I can push it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's
I just
it's like, and so NIST and UL, and listen, they're good for the fire service. They do a lot of tests, and I'm getting myself in trouble, and I don't really care. But come up with a test, not to prove your theory, but to disprove your theory.
Yeah.
But everything they build is to prove their theory. Even the tests on Governor Island. I tried to get out there for those tests, and boy, was it a closed shop.
Yeah.
I said, I'll pay my way out there. I'll get a boat and get out there myself.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, no, we only have accommodations. I'll get a boat to come home early. I don't care. I want to be at the tests.
Yeah. Just let me out there. What's the problem?
They wouldn't let me out there. I couldn't go. And I watched a video of a NIST test on a store where they're yelling. You can hear them yelling, don't put water on it yet. I'm like, I've never been to a fire. I heard that. Don't put water on it yet.
Don't put water on it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get my helmet more burned up. That's why.
Shit has worked for years. And yes, have fire changed? I don't think, you know what I think? I think the biggest change in the fires for us were thermal pane windows. I
was just going to ask you the biggest change in fire behavior.
Yeah,
for you guys, everybody says the same thing.
I think it's the thermal pane windows
Yeah.
because I was on the era before that we never had thermal pane windows, and it was always showing when we got there.
Yeah,
it's never showing when we get there.
Yeah.
So you get an oxygen deprived fire, it's gonna generate blacker and hotter smoke. It's just gonna do that. Now they say, well, there's way more plastics now.
Plastics, yeah.
And maybe you've seen it up there. We used to go to apartments that had an entire wall covered in VCR tapes. That's thousands of VCR tapes.
Yeah.
Now there's a disc this big that holds the same information, but they have a huge screen TV that they didn't have before.
Yeah.
I think that, there might be more plastics. I don't think I think they've moved around where they are because you don't see the VCR tapes anymore.
Right.
I mean, I've been in apartments like, holy cow, thousands of them. And now they're gone. Record albums, who has record albums anymore? Plastic milk crates are gone, So, granted you might have couches, but foam rubber's been around for 40 years.
Yeah.
So I think it's thermal pane windows.
The windows. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest change for us.
Yeah. I hear the same from seasoned guys like yourself that have been through it. Everybody says the same thing. The thermal pane windows is what started changing everything. Yeah.
I truly believe that's the biggest change.
Cool. All right. You ready for picture time?
Sure.
Cool. Let's,
you got the naked ones? Hey, you can do anything, bro.
I was gonna say something, but I met your wife and she seems like a really nice person.
How she stay with me, I'll never know.
All right, what do we got here? Nice.
There's Tommy Caldwell, Ray, myself, Finnemore. That's Cassidy's kid and Vic Lieber.
Yeah. Finnemore's in that picture. Holy shit.
Finnemore, yeah.
You want? I got a funny story about him.
He's a funny guy.
He's a funny dude. He's a funny guy, man. What's this one? There we go.
That's the same fire that Mapes in 179 with the picture of Mikey Scotto.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? That's Eric Davidson all the way to the right.
Mm-hmm.
That's Conroy, myself, Paterno, and Timmy.
Nice. Love it.
I always made sure I took pictures like that. Always.
Yeah. Oh, you got it. After a good job.
Oh my.
Woo.
That's blasphemy.
You're doing truck work? Yeah. You son of a bitch. You're cheating on us.
That's Hemlock Street in Newington, Connecticut.
Nice.
Yep. No gloves on, back in it with the stupid Darth Vader helmet. But I had my New York City coat.
Right. That's a rubber coat, right?
No, it's the regular Nomex coat, but Newington didn't give those out. I bought it myself because it looked like New York City. That's why I had it. They hated me for it. Yep. One of my last fires, a third alarm up by 39 truck.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, that's the kid. The Probie is I'm having a brain fart. Royce Engeldrum. That's Engeldrum's kid.
Oh, no shit.
Yep.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty
he was my
wild.
last Probie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He actually said something to me. I saw him and I liked the kid a lot. You know, he struggled a little bit there. And I sat him down a couple of times, not struggling with the job, just struggling with the place, I think. And I said, listen, you be who you are. You don't let them change you. You have to adapt to who you are. And he came up to me at Boys Night Out this year, and he goes, I never told you this, Lou. And I'm like, and again, this might be a little self, but he said, when I was getting on a job and we were looking for a place to go, and I don't forget who his hook was. And he says, I just want to go to a good engine and work with a good boss. And he goes, I came here because you were here.
Really?
That's if you want to work, then go to this place and work with this guy.
Yeah.
And it made me feel good. I go, well, I hope I didn't let you down. He goes, absolutely not. And he was a good kid and he tried, and I had him out all the time. He'd call me, and, I invested in the kid like I invested all my probies.
Yeah.
But,
you taught him the same way you taught 19 other probies that you had. Or
I had so in that last picture,
yeah.
Those guys, I had all of them as probies.
All these guys were probies. Nice.
I had every single one came to my groups as probie.
Nice. Yep. Love it. Let's see.
Oh.
The building's on fire behind you guys.
It's 117th Street. That's Paulie Greco all the way to the right-hand side of the picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
You were in 47 then.
I was in 40, but that's like we used to do a lot of that vacant building stuff.
Yeah.
We used to do a lot of that.
I always love the picture with the fire ripping out every window behind the guys.
No, but it's a towel. There's two towel ladders working. That was funny that night. So that was an all hands.
Yeah.
And that was an all hands fire. And it was 26 and 40 with the two trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was 58, 37 and us. And they sent back, I think we were second dudes. They sent 37 back, sent 40 back, sent 26 home, special called 22 and 14, and used 2 and 2.
Oh, yeah?
2 engines to survive the 2 towel ladders.
That's it. That's fucking put water in it, boys.
Yep. Oh, shit.
Look
so there's the New York City look.
Yeah. Look at you. Tough. You got to hold on to the engine.
I was a punk.
Don't smile. Don't smile.
I had the waistband. I mean, so you knew that's, I was going to go there. I had the helmet, the New York City front piece.
Yeah.
Mustache that I never shaved. Yeah, that was a 1982 Han. It was brand new.
I was going to say, that's a brand new rig, man.
Yeah, 1982 Han. What a great rig.
That's nice.
The one I had before that was the rig that my father had, and it was the first fire ride truck I drove. I used to play on it as a kid. It was a 1965 C model Mac.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful fire truck.
Nice.
Beautiful. This is the Liburn group.
I think I know a couple guys in that picture.
Yeah, so let me see. Who's in there? Well, there's Colin.
You got Colin in there. Yeah.
Silliest man in the universe. Both my boys are in that picture.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's Daniel and Connor. Dan's got the 14 on it.
Yep.
Connor's right next to him. Connor's in 33 engine.
Mm-hmm.
That's Mike Lombardo next to Connor.
Yep.
You see Jay.
I see Jay.
John Hank. Mark Van Horn from Buffalo. Chris Knight, the big tall guy, is from Dan's boss, Baltimore.
Yeah.
The guy next to Colin on the other side.
Yeah.
That's Paul's son, Matty Walsh.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's Matty Walsh.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I'll have the same. That's the group that I have up in the State Chiefs in
Same group?
Same group. And Colin says he's coming.
Yeah, I gotta shoot him a text and see if he's gonna go.
Yeah, he's coming. You already told me. I already showed it. That's Daniel and Connor. Yeah,
Nice.
They actually were working and we ended up at a fire together. And they go to fires, bro.
Same bunker gear as FDNY, it looks like.
Yeah, they go to fires.
Yeah, they do.
They're busy.
Baltimore is busy, man.
Oh. I'm jealous. Dan already had a fire today. That's a couple years ago in New York. They marched with me.
Patty's Day. I love it.
I got a really funny story about that day. I don't know if you want to hear it. It's hysterical.
Why not?
So, do you remember Joe Dirt? Remember the movie Joe Dirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting and I meet him up. I'm in a bar talking. I'm talking to this group of ladies from Ireland, just talking to him, right? So that she's just staring at me, this Irish lady, and she goes, you got the most beautiful eyes in the world. I said, oh, I get that. She goes, I just can't get over. They're so beautiful. So my son Daniel walks up and he puts his arm around me and he goes, guess what? He goes, that's my dad. I look at him. I'm like, really? Right? So she says, this better get cut out probably, but she goes, well, if that's the case, I'm looking at my future husband.
Oh boy.
My wife knows the story. So Dan looks at it and he looks at her and goes, well, that way, hi, Mom. He said. So I start laughing, but she says, well, if that's the case, let me introduce you to your sister.
Oh.
And it's this beautiful 22-year-old redhead from Ireland. And Dan looks at her and he looks at me and then she does the Joe Dirt. She's not my sister. She's not my sister. I was crying.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, but that was Patty's Day. Both great guys.
Nice.
You know, I couldn't be more proud of them.
Yeah.
You know, Dan, I told you a story about Daniel. Supposed to be working on the day of Stricker Street, and John was working instead, not being able to talk to him for a few hours. You know, and what it did for me, we never know what the wives go through. Like on 9/11. Like I didn't talk to my wife for 12 hours. And I'm like, oh, come on, she had to know I was okay. And until that day, you know, all the time she saw Fireman in the Bronx hurt on the news, you know, and until that day thinking that he was dead, I didn't know how she felt.
Yeah.
And then it realized like, holy cow. And I asked her, is that what you went through every time I went to work? Every time you heard someone got hurt?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, right?
So it's funny. And I say funny, not funny, but that you say that. I'm interviewing Eileen Ballou in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. She's releasing a book about, you know, her story.
Yes, I heard that. Yes.
Yeah. And I read the book. Like she gave it to me. I read the whole thing. And the first thing I said was, that's one thing about the brothers. Yes, we know that these guys have wives and children and we try to take care of them, but we don't know what the fuck they go through and what they feel or what they think. And she really puts this into a nutshell.
Perspective, right?
Yeah. And you're like, holy shit, you know, like, wow. So it's going to be.
When I retired, that was one of the things, you know, I wrote everything down, all my worries, missing it, all that stuff. And one of the things was my wife. And like I tell guys all the time, and even your wife, you know, how long were you on the job? 20 years?
18 and a half, 21 with my Navy time.
Yeah. So 21 years.
Yeah.
21 years. So your wife was a New York City firefighter for 21 years, as mine was for 31.
Yeah.
Right. But she got none of the good. She got all the bad that job offers. Like you know what I'm talking about. Like going to work was fun.
Yeah.
Right. Fires were fun. You know, like she got holidays alone, snowstorms alone, weekends alone, 9/11 alone, you know. So all the bad that job offers, they got. Yeah. And that was one of my big deciding, because she wanted me to retire. And that was one of the things that put me over the top. Is like, you know what? Enough. You know, she's been through enough.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm interested in reading that book when it comes out myself.
It's when it comes out, it's going to be a real eye opener, and not just for firemen. For that book should be read by everybody. I got emotional quite a few times reading the book. Yeah. So that'll be out April 15th. That episode, and then you can pre-order those books. But one more picture. Let's see.
Oh, that's the Trade Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good guys. A lot of the guys are dead in that picture.
Wow.
But let's see.
I don't know if you can see anybody.
I'm standing up in the middle there. You can see me almost smack dab in the middle. I got my arm resting on the back of a shovel. You see the big mustache?
Oh, yeah.
I got a yellow shirt on. And next to me is Tommy Roby. And in front of him, kneeling down, is Tommy Fox. I got a great story about him. And then Kevin Butler, the borough commander of the Bronx Borough, is kneeling down.
Okay, yeah.
Right? We rented a 15 passer van, but somebody wanted to get a picture of that group of the Bronx guys. It was our last day there.
Oh, there. Now I see. Yeah.
In the task force. It was our last day there, and they put everything together and took a picture.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of guys in that picture. So if Tommy Fox, he was the 6th Division commander at the time, and his son actually just before I retired came to 88 as the captain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Brian Fox. So I tell Brian, I know your dad. I met your dad, and I said I got a great story about him. But he goes, and Brian told me, he goes, I've always heard this story, but I don't think it's true. I said, well, I'm going to tell you this. I was there. So after we finished for the day, and everybody says, hey, we're going to the Raccoon Saloon to have a couple of drinks afterwards because it was our last day there. Not everybody showed up, but probably 50 guys, 60 guys.
Yeah.
And that picture showed up. A couple of union guys were there. So we're trying to get the union to throw their credit card at the bar. And they wouldn't do it.
No.
Tommy Fox from the division, the 6th Division, walks up, pulls out his credit card. He said, I want to buy a round. And I'm standing right next to him. Bartender says, okay, who? He goes, all of them. And he goes, what? He goes, all of them. Just like that. They bought around for everybody in the bar. And then he got up and he said, listen, you made me proud today. You guys are all 6th Division guys, blah, blah, blah. It was great. Yeah, and that was his dad. Yep.
Nice.
And, he said, I always heard that story, but I wasn't sure. I go, well, I'm telling you, I was there. I was right next to him when he said it. And that's a true story. I'll never forget that, all of them.
Wow.
You're like, wow, another drink for me. Say it twice.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting up on time here. Let's give you the I wanted to give you the final question. We kind of talked about this, what you teach them, what your instruction in different departments and different techniques. How do you get them to buy into and get everybody on the same page? But we kind of went over that stuff. So I think I'm going to just kind of ask you, what kind of tips do you have? Give a new fireman a tip.
Hey, this is scripted, bro. You're throwing me a curveball.
I am throwing you a curveball, but I feel like we talked a lot about the instruction. But tell me what you expect as a lieutenant, an 88 engine, anybody, any probie coming on a job now that's going to come work for you.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about it. Like I told them, and I think that The Rock does them a disservice because there's a lot of individual awards you can get down there by doing individual things, and I think that they need to do more team building. Like, hey, listen, you were the best group that did this. This group was the best at this. To build that, and like I tell my probies that never think you're bigger than the job. You're not bigger than the job. You're not bigger than the company. The company comes before everything. And as the officer, I'm the last guy in that totem, and I'm fine with being. And I like being the last guy on that totem. But the company comes before everything. I tell guys, that term, the mission, the men in me, and that's all and well, but I don't really abide by that because if I don't prepare the men, the mission's a failure before it starts. So if I don't give them what they need to do the mission, then so I think they got to be first, and I give them the tools they need and let them know, listen, you're not bigger than the job, and like I tell them, don't try to do stuff you're not ready to do. I'll get you there. Yeah. Experience will get you there. But what's going to get you in trouble is trying to do something to impress somebody. As much as they break your you-know-whats, they don't expect you to operate at that level. That's my job, to get you to that level. And once you're at that level, then but you see guys trying to do stuff. I'm like, what are you thinking? You're not ready to do that yet. Just, let's stick, play within your own arena. You're right. And here the big thing is, like I always tell guys, like, everybody puts so much value in experience, right? Well, that guy's experience, and you've probably seen them too. I mean, I know lots of guys have been to lots of fires and they still suck.
Yeah.
Experience is only as good as how you use it for your next fire. So that's what I would tell probies. Like, listen, you got to take away one thing. At least one thing from every fire you go to. Right? From every time we drill and talk about fires, take one thing, be one thing better. Right? So if you work 3 days every week, you're 3 things better by the end of the week. If you work 3 days every week and you have 2 fires during that, you're 5 things better by the end of the week. And cumulatively, as you progress, you may not see it, but other people will start noticing that you're getting better and better, because you're taking some of those experiences and applying it to that next step, and then applying it to the next step, and then applying it to the next step, right?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you get a probie, and you're on this step, and now you're telling the probie, you might even still be a probie, like, listen, this is how we do this here, you know, and that's slowly by learning from your experiences and applying it and trying to learn one thing, take one takeaway from every fire. If there's 2 or 3, that's great. But the goal is to be one thing better after every fire. And that's what I tell everyone. That's it.
Nice.
And, you know, as a big city fireman, I tell the students, I'm no better than you are. I put my pants on the same way that you do. I said, do you think the fire really cares if you're in Iowa or New York? And I joke, I go, you know, they took a piece of wood from Iowa and a piece of wood from the South Bronx, and they lit them on fire, and they put out the same number of BTUs. I was amazed. I said, I always thought the fires burned hotter in the Bronx, you know? So, you know, and I try to put them on the same level. And with the probies, like, that's the big thing for me. One thing, learn one thing every day. Taking one away from every fire. You go to 5 fires, you're 5 things better. And I said it already once, is that if you do that, you'll put that up in the noggin, and then one day, 5 years down the road, all of a sudden you're doing that one thing that's up there, and you don't even remember where you learned it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's there. And the stuff we do every day, you know, the stuff we do at every fire, be proficient at it. You know what I mean? You should be able to put your gear on. You should be able to stretch hose. You should be able to flake out hose, and you should be able to prepare for that advance with your eyes closed. Right? And that's why we train on that stuff over and over and over again, so you can do it that way. Because if you can do it that way, if you can do it without thinking about doing it, if something out of the ordinary happens, you're going to be prepared to deal with that while still doing the stuff you're supposed to. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Awesome stuff, man.
I just want to be better than Jay. That's all. It's hard. It's a hard thing.
That's a hard thing, especially somebody who worked for him. So
I know.
I know that's why we've gone over to 2 hours, because you're really trying to sell me on you being better than Jay. So.
Checks in the mail, buddy. Colin breaks my balls constantly about it.
He is the biggest, best ball breaker. Colin,
he's okay. I've got him a few times.
But that is great advice. Take one thing away from every fire and be better at it. And then the 5 fires, you're 5 things better. It's so awesome. I've had a blast talking to you, Tim.
Thanks for having me.
I have too. Thank you. Where can if somebody wants your services, somebody wants, you know, a department out there is looking for Timmy KLETT's Fire Matics training, where can we find you?
Just email me. ENG88TK.
Okay.
Put that up somewhere, but
yeah, I'll link it. I'll link it in the description.
ENG.
Are you on social media or anything like that?
Gmail. No, I'm not. I don't. Listen, I'm way busy. I don't advertise at all. I get word of mouth. You know. So.
All right. ENG88 at Gmail. ENG88TK at Gmail.
Yeah.
Timmy KLETT Services.
It used to be ENG69TK, but I had to change. Guys at 88 were breaking my chops. I was told, you know, our motto wasn't 69. We can lick anything. That was our motto.
Awesome. So, all right, that's going to be it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Kenny, thank you so much, man.
No, that was awesome.
I really enjoyed it. It was really laid back. It was good. Real good.
A lot of fun. Hang on. Don't hang up.
I won't.
So we'll talk 2 more minutes and then I'll let you go. And everybody remember, it must be true. If you heard it at the kitchen table, take care. Appreciate you.